that in mind, welcome everybody. It is currently 12:53 p.m. for me over here in Phoenix, Arizona. It is Saturday, December 2nd. And needless to say, this is another one of those podcast sessions to where, well, I was meaning to do this session a lot earlier, but the thing is, when you stretch yourself so thin as far as what you're investing your time into, and per se, instead of being able to work from home and the moment that you're done with work, you just have to close a program on your computer and then the rest of the day is yours for the taking. No, the thing is now, like most people in society who work 9 to 5s or 9 to 6s per se, I now am more or less working a public job. I just have to do an exam to secure the job. So I've been doing 2 weeks worth of training. That's been really nice. It's been really casual for what it's worth, yet I'm still losing sleep. I think it's just over the stress of trying to acquire the job, because this is also a place under NDA disclosures. It feels pretty higher level as far as the company that I'm working for officially, but it's just been so weird to be in a situation to where you are encouraged to learn, you're encouraged to pay attention, but the moment you leave that office, any notes that you take, any relevant recollection of understanding what you need to be studying day in and day out, well, you only really get to study there because all the notes are kept inside the Macs on site. So it's been really, really psychologically challenging. And I can easily recall a great number of nights where I am simply being woken up in the middle of the night, obsessing over the the untamed knowledge and the untapped wells of knowledge, or having dreams that my teacher trainer is in real time asking me as if he knew the whole time, pardon me, how have I been sleeping during the whole training process? And then that psychologically trips me out. I get startled out of my sleep. It's been one of the strangest mental health experiences that I've had in a long time. And with anxiety being as rambunctious as it is in the family, that doesn't fucking help either. But what I can say is that this weekend will be the final unplugging per se before I take the exam, secure the job. And if I do secure the job and pass the exam, then I can get back on my feet financially. And well, in modern society, who doesn't love the sound of that, at least for one sense of joy, motivation, accomplishment, that type of thing. But what I was meaning to say earlier is that we've rescheduled this session at least a couple times now because of things like that, or because I've joined a new band as their bassist and backup vocalist, which has been really fun, because I think going into 2024, you guys will be seeing a lot more content based around me being more of an instrumentalist, being more of a musician instead of just a vocalist and a cringy ass reacting YouTuber, right? Things are changing. And I just happen to be in a rut right now to where I'm not really seeing or appreciating what I am accomplishing before me in real time, because I'm like, that's not enough. We got to keep going. But with that in mind, today, Jesus, it's not nighttime yet. It looks like nighttime on both of our screens, kind of. And like
Yeah.
in the background, it kind of looks like it could be if I just do that number. So I'm like, oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
it's
Oh
7
yeah.
p.m.
Yeah.
But no, right off the bat, what I can say is that Curbstomp the Predator is one of those bands that was recommended to me through Instagram, just randomly on my For You page, which it's been really fascinating that Instagram, knowing somehow that I'm a content creating YouTuber, reactive YouTuber, metal YouTuber, that type of thing, they just keep every now and then just smacking me with these brand new up and coming bands who have just got started. Now, Curbstomp the Predator has been around for a good chunk of time now, with their first album, with Josh's first album being The Father. I think that's what it's called. Okay, sweet. So basically today in session, not only are we hosting Curbstomp the Predator because of the masks that you can see in the background on the tree, but we're also just in general hoping to host a bolder a project in the scene that is willing to openly base their demographic around, well, fuck, a lot of people in society, mainly because, well, they're predators, they're child predators. They are manipulators, narcissists, but mostly the child predator part. Because, I mean, if there's anybody who happens to be listening to this who does advocate for that, because they're like, well, it's because they're mentally sick and they need help. It's like, well, if they do the act in the first place, nah, like get the fuck out of my feed.
Yep,
That's
get
that's
out of here.
that's one of many demographics that I will absolutely not welcome into my fan base, is people who excuse behavior like that as mental illness, maybe because they were a victim themselves. And yes, of course, there is trauma that comes with most of these cases, right? Or at least some of these cases. But at the end of the day, you can't exactly blame anybody else or anything else except your own decision on what you decide to do in that moment. And well, kids, that's just like, that's no, absolutely not. Anyways,
You're good. You're
we
good.
have Josh here on the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fan freaking tastic, bro. Thank you for having me. I'm glad we were finally able to like get this going. I know it's
Right.
been back and forth a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, if it makes you feel any better, these days I'm learning that with just how much I've been stretching myself thin with the podcast, with my two bands, wanting to start like a ghost hunting supernatural channel, but also, of course, first and foremost, being financially inept to accomplish all these things and
Exactly.
put energy and all that other shit, manifest and work hard, blah, 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 with all these different creative mediums. And then on top of that, I'm trying to go to sound engineering school, which I was
There you
planning on
go.
starting that January 5th, but I think we're going to be delaying it to like March or something because I'm going to need some time to get back on my feet financially, and just attend to absolutely everything in my life. But what I'm trying to say is no
Mm,
problem.
right.
So with this being episode 64 of the Anatomy Crosscast, I'm not sure
Nice.
if you, Josh, yeah, it's we're getting closer to
Oh
100.
my goodness.
We're getting closer to 100, but nowhere near as close. So hopefully, I'm thinking that will be the goal for 2024, is getting 100 episodes of the Anatomy Crosscast uploaded and ready to go, whether it be
Yeah.
brand new bands or returning bands. Because, I mean, if there's anything I do understand, it's that there will be a session for the Stygian Complex, Warm Shepherd, and another batch of episodes for the Breathing Process, as they will be unleashing new full-length albums next year. But there are also bands there are always brand new bands, like I said, and
Every
Instagram
day.
definitely
Every
every day.
day.
Yeah.
Literally every day. I can't even I can't even keep up with the amount of bands that pop up. But yeah.
Yeah, no, it's insane. So, for any of you who might have listened to the podcast sessions beforehand, any of the now 63 episodes, with the last episode hosting Jordan Milner of the Breathing Process up and ready, basically, the podcast consists of two different parts. The first part will be the people part of the podcast, which is always a mouthful of but in the first half, we will be going David Attenborough on Josh's ass, basically, telling his story as a person, how he got into music, how he decided, for example, that he wanted to be a musician. And after that, in the second half of the session, we will be talking to him as if he is indeed Curbstomp the Predator, which the mask kind of speaks for itself. We don't clown around, we don't fuck around here. And we will be doing some lyrical dissection on the father and This Is War to get everybody who is a fan of Curbstomp the Predator caught up on his story. But with all that in mind, it is 2023 still. We're in the last month of 2023. How you feeling about the rest of the year, boss?
It's been quite a roller coaster, I must say. Um, Even just getting back into music has been literally a journey in itself.
Yeah,
After coming off of a 5-year hiatus. But I'm sure we'll get back into that later on. But yeah, no, year just flew right by. Yeah, I can't believe we're at the end of the year already. I really
right.
can't. Yeah.
No, what I can say too is that being that we're in December, I can say that this has been one of my least favorite years in recent times. Because I'm usually a big fan of odd number years, but I think just because of how the story has progressed, in which basically my timeline, my world as I know it, has always brought me back to Arizona eventually. And not
Oh,
only that, but Northeast Mesa, Arizona. Now, of course, with that in mind, to those who may apply, I appreciate all of the patience, all of the positive energy, all of the support that I've received from everybody that I do know in Arizona. But I can easily say that the moment I had to head back this last April was agony. It was hell because understanding Tennessee, um, acknowledging and embracing the various demographics over there, being exposed to a new world basically was such a it was just so fresh. It was such a real surreal experience. It felt like I was finally adventuring out into the world. And by the time I got comfortable, well, we were already preparing to come back. So I, of course, appreciate everything that has occurred this year, whether Silent Planet releasing an album that was a year anniversary after they got into a whole bunch of incidents with the third kind, with aliens. Um, and then that happened to happen on my 23rd birthday last year. And then they made an album about a year later. Like you can't make that shit up. And
wow.
then on top of that, the album cover happens to be my favorite color. The album cover happens to be a perfect frame for my already existing Silent Planet tattoo themed off of their last record, Iridescent. Like you can't,
It's
you
sick.
can't, you can't make this shit
You
up.
can't make that up. Yeah, well.
You can't make that up. It's so weird. So I definitely have to ground myself and say that I appreciate everything that has transpired this year, but it could have been so much better. And I wish it was. But instead of reminiscing on the past, despite the question at hand, how is 2023? How did 2023 treat everybody? Do you guys felt like you made enough progress this year? Well, more or less, I think that'll be a questionnaire and something that I have to make a video for, or even do another podcast session for at the tail end of this month. I think that would be a really profound idea, especially because fucking 2024 starts on a Monday, bro.
Literally.
Like what a way to start off the year. It's just the deepest Monday blues everybody could possibly imagine. Or if you're positive and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna take 2024 by the balls. I'm gonna do everything that I couldn't do every other year before. Like, if that's your mindset, absolutely go for
Right.
that. But if anything, what I want to do starting off is, though I can't really do a good impression of him, I want to get into a David Attenborough mode. And basically, I want to dig as far back as possible into your background. And I want you to go ahead and tell your story, everything that you feel is relevant to you as a musician from
Mhm.
the very beginning. Take it away, sir.
Well, geez, why you gotta put it all up on me like that? I'm kidding.
Pressure.
um, I gotta figure out how to word this correctly because literally everything I'm sure you're going to ask me reflects off the father. Like
Right.
that album, like that entire album is solely about my life from beginning to basically mid, and then what would happen if
Mm,
type of deal. Yeah. Um, just to give you kind of a hint of where this is going.
right.
Um, geez, like I said, I don't well, I'll go ahead and dip into it. So I was adopted at a really young age. Like I'm talking like I never remember this. I want to say it was either 3 weeks old or 3 months old.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So adopted by a really loving, caring family. In fact, that's even in the album, The
Mm,
Father as well. Um, and they have literally been terrific. And I promise I'm not going to get teary. I'm not going to start breaking down or anything. I'm not. Um, it's just trying to explain
it's
things.
difficult, man.
Yeah, exactly. Without getting into the album portion because I know we're not there yet. But you will understand once I start explaining things bit by bit.
Right.
Anyway,
Go ahead and
adopted.
leave us a bread crumb trail.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, no, I grew up with a very loving family. And you know the saying, one does not look like the other. Well, they're all white. I'm the only dark dark black the entire family. Everybody always asks what ethnicity I am. I get that a lot, like a lot, bro. Like anything from like Native American to Hispanic to Mideastern, but for everybody that wants to guess, I'm Hispanic.
Okay.
um, but yeah, no, my childhood was very sweet. It was so my actually to go into my folk side of things, they're actually from Kentucky. So yeah, they're from Kentucky, but I was born and raised out here in California. My dad was in the Air Force at the time, adopted dad was in the Air Force at the time. Um, and the Air Force basically brought him out because they stationed him out in California. So that's what brought them out. And then they're living their lives. They decide to become foster parents. They get me, and then they just fall in love with me instantly. Um, yeah, so that's pretty awesome.
Pretty wholesome Disney stuff right there to start off.
Pretty wholesome Disney stuff. Pretty wholesome Disney stuff, I'll say. It just doesn't start off. And like I said,
Yeah.
I'll get to that later
Right.
on. I'll get to that later on. Um, and yeah, it's just I was in elementary school, I think, until like fourth grade, and then unfortunately I got bullied pretty freaking bad. So they got scared, pulled me out. Then they homeschooled me all the way up till freaking the end of high school in like a private school. Um, so that's kind of like speeds up a big chunk. I'll say. Um, do you want me to go into maybe when I got into music or started getting into music, or is that a separate?
Yeah, yeah. Like honestly, even if there were like separate hobbies, right, that you were
Yeah.
investing into at the time that you can recollect, and then later in time you ended up choosing music instead. Like
Okay.
looking back,
Okay.
perhaps there were other timelines that you reminisce on where you're like, whoa, what if I did become this instead of a musician?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
also the shit I want to know about.
Okay. Yeah. So before even as I'm growing up, I'll say can start off all the fun stuff. So my first gaming console was actually PlayStation 1. A lot of people were 64, especially since I'm a 90s kid.
Yeah,
I was born December 9th, 1989. So my birthday is literally coming up here within the next week. So but yeah, it was PlayStation 1, and then actually I take that back. I think I had a Game Boy, like one of the little mini Game Boys, like the first original Game Boys. I think I had one of those. I don't think I had an Atari system, but anyway, um, but my folks basically introduced me the world to gaming, and then my whole life as a kid changed forever. Like growing up playing PlayStation, I did get a GameCube at some point. I got the original Xbox at some point. Let's see, and I think because my dad was in the Air Force, I was heavily invested, and I wanted nothing more at the time. Like you said, if there's anything before music came in the picture,
yeah,
at the time, there's nothing more that I wanted than to be in the military. Like I actually wanted to go in there. I wanted to defend our country. So I already had that like passion in mind that I want to go above and beyond at an early age for everybody,
that's cool.
or I guess you could say the innocent in this case.
Right.
You know, and obviously it wasn't until later on where I figured out what that really would have meant. You
Mm.
know, um, but yeah, and that happened maybe all up until I was 13. And then that's where basically the origin of the father and everything starts like beginning. So I'll start hinting some things, and then obviously we'll get into that later on. But around 13 years old, I really started to enjoy music. I think my first metal album was Demon Hunter, Summer of Darkness.
Okay.
That was literally my very first introduction into metal. A lot of people, they start a lot sooner, they get into a lot older bands, but this was a more recent one at the time. And it was literally Demon Hunter, Summer of Darkness, and my world was just opened up to a whole new thing. And I'm just like, holy crap! Like I like this is so mean, but I freaking love it. Why do I love
Yeah.
this so much? Um, and it just, I don't know, that album just stuck with me all these years. Every now and then I'll go back and listen to it, and it still gives me the same chills from when I heard it the first time.
Right.
So I don't know. It's pretty. It kind of paved the way for me getting into music, not just as a
Yeah.
listener, but I wanted to pick up guitar. Wasn't until about, I'll say, I was 16 years old, all right, because I was asking for many years, first like a few years,
Yeah.
that my folks actually decided to invest and give me a guitar, my first guitar. Then they got me lessons. Um, I actually didn't grasp a lot of music theory, believe it or not, off out of that. But I was, but my tutor was able to get me to a point where I could self teach myself for basically the rest of my life,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
No, that does. That does.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, that's basically where my music journey kind of starts there.
Right. And
Yeah.
if I may too, earlier you kind of it seemed like you kind of had a little bit of hesitancy, right? Or like, you were a little bit shy in admitting that the beginning of your journey getting into metal, getting into music, getting into the genre that you are contributing to now,
Mhm.
essentially, was Demon Hunter, which most people recognize as like one of the OG
Yep.
Christian metalcore bands. I
Yeah.
just want to provide reassurance to both you and anybody who's listening doesn't really matter at the end of the day who you're into, especially when even today, looking back on all the music that you ended up finding since then, the journey, the roadmap that you ended up paving, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where it started as long as you yourself find joy. And especially you said you still get chills from
Yeah.
listening to Summer of Darkness
Definitely.
by Demon
Yep.
Hunter.
Yep.
Fuck what anybody says, bro.
Yep.
If Summer of Darkness is one of your favorite albums of all time, if you have yet to get it on vinyl and you want to get it on vinyl, get it on vinyl, dude.
I really
The
need to.
it really starts with bands like that. It really starts with musical experiences, with cinema, with poems, with people that give you chills. When you get positive chills and you're like, "Ooh, I wanna be like this guy really bad," or "I wanna be like this artist really,
Yeah.
really bad," or "I wanna
Yeah.
make songs and I want to compose lyrics just like Garrett Russ" for me, like Garrett Russell of Silent Planet, because they're all quite literally massive research projects, and the
Oh yeah.
most recent album happens to be a Christopher Nolan-ass soundtrack compressed into metalcore. Doesn't matter at the end of the day what you like. And if people are going to make fun of you because you happen to listen to what most people understand as an OG Christian metalcore band, then fuck those people. Like
Hmm.
you enjoy it, you find a different level of sensation from that album, from Summer of Darkness. Never be afraid of that. Never be hesitant of that. Be comfortable with it. Show it off. Be like, you know what? I don't give a fuck. This album is really, really good. I want it on vinyl. Hell, I
Yeah.
might want all vinyl versions, period. Just wanted to provide that little rant because I used to be the same exact way, even with my own friends who were into similar genres, but just
Yeah.
not into those specific bands. It's like, well, here's the thing. You find people along the way. You find people who introduce you to similar things, and then you take that baton per se, and you continue running down the track. They're not with you when you run down the track, right? Unless they are, and if they are, hell, that's even cooler. But
Mhm.
sometimes it's all about being able to run down the track with the baton on your own, and then you give that baton to someone else later in time when you introduce them to your specific bands that give you the chills, right?
Right.
The whole path is that a dog or a cat in the back? Oh, that's a child.
Yeah. Buddy. That's my son.
I thought I saw like a bushy tail or something.
There is a dog laying down on that bed, by the
Okay,
way. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I saw like the like how huskies, right? They'll walk around and they'll have their tail up in the air and it's like
Yeah.
folded over and stuff. That's what
Yeah.
I saw for a second. Swear to
Yeah.
God. I'm like, oh, you got a husky? No, it's a child. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
What? I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I do not mind at all.
Oh, it's broken. But yeah, that's my fun joy. His sisters are in the other room.
Mm,
Yeah,
gotcha.
I know. That's my. His name is Miguel.
Oh,
It's my
Miguel?
Miguel. Yeah, which happens to be my middle name.
Mm. No, he's adorable. Love him
Yeah,
already. But as we were kind of talking about that, it's like
yeah,
just people don't be afraid to enjoy and like be proud, like be prideful and be passionate about what you're into because no one else is going to do that until you do that.
yeah,
After you're into it. Like, dude, that's how most of the bands that we know and love, including Curbstomp the Predator, no
yeah,
in session bias needed. It's like there's a reason you're getting recognized as a musician, and it's because there happened to be a couple people at first who were like, you know what? I like that clown mask. This is fucking sick. And I like
yeah,
that this guy is advocating and retaliating against and trying to cut out the cancer in the entertainment industry of all these people who are willing to take advantage of younger kids and shit, which
yeah.
is awful. Like it all started with that. It all started with that first person who had the baton. But
Yep,
that's
yep.
besides the point. Um,
Absolutely.
I appreciate you telling your story as a musician so far. And if you don't mind me asking, because I
Mhm.
realize you kind of like guided over it a little bit. So um basically Crow, if that ends up being the case. But
Sure.
what ended up getting you out of wanting to get into the military?
Oh, so I was actually born with a heart murmur. It's like a tiny little hole within my heart. I basically, when I was a child, they didn't think I was going to make it because they didn't have the technology back then. You know, you got to remember this was early 90s. A lot of technology we don't have now, they didn't have back then. Um, they didn't think I was going to make it, so I was rushed down to a hospital in San Diego. So Orange County all the way down to San Diego to try to save me. That's why they didn't think I was going to make even that trip because it was
Right.
so severe. So they literally had to change this. I had to be. I'm starting to think that I was literally like 3 weeks old or something because they said it was so tiny. So I'm thinking this must have happened 3 weeks old or something like that, or
Right.
3 3 months. Some things I don't remember the story entirely. Like my folks, they could tell you right off the bat better than I
Right.
could, even though I've heard the story a million times be told by them to their friends, family, whatever. Um, but yeah, they didn't think I was going to make it. They needed to actually. I don't remember if it was replace the. It wasn't replace the whole heart. There was something. There was some organ or something that they needed, and they were searching everywhere, and they couldn't find it. And finally, they found it. And then I think that's why I was transferred down to San Diego because they had it down there. They wanted to get me down as fast as possible. But just fast forward from that, I figured out at some point, I don't remember when, that I couldn't get into the military because of my condition. They wouldn't take me with a heart murmur. Basically, you gotta
Oh,
you gotta have like a clean, healthy slate. There's nothing wrong with you, and I couldn't even have made it to be a police officer. Um, but yeah, so that's basically where that came from. And like I said, when I was 13, I'm a teenager going through the hormones or whatever, you know. Um, so I still had it in mind in the back of my head, but like I said, I don't think it was until maybe I was 15 or 14 that I discovered that I literally couldn't get into the military because I think I could have enlisted or at least started training. I think guys and girls that start training on that stuff, they train pretty early, like when they're 16, 18 or something like that. They train like super early, and then they enlist like super young, I want to say. Um, but yeah, I basically figured out that it was going to keep me, sorry, not to sound like a broken record player, to keep me from
You're good.
um enlisting. And then that's when I'm like, okay, well, I don't think I can do that. And then when I was 16 and I officially got my first guitar and I started writing and practicing 2 songs, it wasn't until I had my tutor that greatly influenced me. I mean, like heavily influenced me. That he wanted me literally right from the get go. He wanted me to pursue becoming a studio engineer or audio engineer or a studio producer in general. So he kind of ignited that fire that I didn't realize I had. And it wasn't until I was like, uh, I want to say a couple years, maybe past that, that I decided that that's what I want to do. And I want to do whatever it takes. Fast forward a little bit from that, I went to Golden West College, which is a community college, and I went for a music certificate. And so he had literally influenced me so freaking hard that that's what I wanted to do, and I was so excited, so ready to do it. Um, and then I think I got to either my final year in class. So I had gone to college for maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4 years, and on the final year, um, it was really interesting. We were in class like mid session, and somebody, and I'll never forget this. Like this is literally scarred in my head. Still, mid session, we're all listening, we're taking notes, we're learning. I think I forget what pro. I think we're working with Logic Pro actually at the
Okay.
time. And we're going around on how to do certain things. I can't remember exactly what it was, but we were working with Logic Pro, and all of a sudden, a dude in a suit walks in the door mid session. I don't think I've ever heard anything like this. I mean, somebody out there maybe has experienced this before. I don't know, but some dude in a suit walks in mid session and he goes, "Hey guys, so I don't know, sorry to interrupt. I'm so and so, so I can't even remember what his title was." And the teacher was kind of like, had that look like, "Oh shit, like, I'm gonna tell him." Basically, he had said that the school is running low on money, so we're going to have to drop the music class as soon as possible. Right then and there, bro. And we were like, "Are you serious?" We were
Yeah.
like, like,
Good portion of the way into the semester or whatever, and they're like, "Oh yeah,
yeah,
we're cutting the program." It's like, "Oh, okay,
yeah,
thanks."
yeah. Oh, sorry. My son's yelling in the background. I don't know if you can hear
No, I can't.
it. Okay, good. um, um, yeah, but we were just all shocked. We were all looking at each other like, and like, "Are you serious?" And he was like, "Yeah, sorry guys, I don't know what to tell you." Literally just like this. He's like, "Say, sorry guys, I don't know what to tell you." And we're like, "What do you mean you don't know what to tell us? You're the one showing up in the suit." Like, and he was like, "Hey, just the school is running low on money, and we had to make cuts, and we had a meeting, and we came to a decision that music was going to be the program that we cut." And we were just like shocked.
Dumbfounded, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we were super pissed off. But I didn't know what to do at that point because that was the whole reason I went to school, and it impacted me so freaking hard. To the point I was like, shit,
Can I
like
even do this anymore?
can I even do this anymore? Exactly. And then I just started working. I don't even remember where I was working at the time. Maybe it was like Target or something. I don't even remember off the top of my head.
Right.
Um, but I just kept working, just trying to figure out like what the hell I'm going to do. And then I thought about it, and I thought about it after a while, and I'm just like, you know what? Do I really need to have that certificate to do it? So I started doing some research, and at some point, I got my first MacBook Pro.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, This had to be, and this literally had to be right out of high school. So maybe this had to be 2010, 2011-ish, 2012-ish, something like that. I want to say it was 2010 sounds about right. Yeah, 2010 sounds about right. Because, fun fact, I got into my first local band at that time.
Okay.
Yeah, first local band. Our band was Neuralize the Path. I actually did upload it on Apple Music, Spotify. So if anybody wants to know what that sounds like, that's what it's. It was like hardcore, like a hardcore, but like a down tempo hardcore. But
Yeah.
our first little EP that we had was kind of like melodic hardcore. Anyway, um, yeah, I did end up getting into a local band, and we ran it for maybe about a year or so, and then unfortunately it collapsed. We just got so busy. um I ended up having a kid. um some of the guys, their jobs just got really busy, and it was hard for us to coordinate, and unfortunately life just kind of swept in and took over and separated us all.
Yeah, yeah, and sometimes it's like I feel that to a certain degree that might end up being what happens with the band that I joined recently.
Yeah.
Because what I do know is that as a musician, as an artist, it is gonna be very important if I want to be a backup vocalist and a bassist for my own band. It's gonna be very important to do the research, be in that role for another project and see where that goes because this
Yeah.
other band seems really cool. So part two, I mean, basically we were talking about how what were we talking about last? It's been
We're
just long enough.
No, yeah, you're good. You're good. I had mentioned that I got into a local band.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah. Got into a local band. We ran it for about I want to say a year now, or a year then. I'm sorry.
Right.
um, from I want to say 2010 to maybe the end of 2012. Is probably when we ran it. If we ran it a little bit longer than that, my fault. um, but we played a lot of shows. I mean, a big venue that I can name right off the back that I'm sure everybody has heard about is Chain Reaction. We played there a lot. That's kind of our hometown venue. I think the band even played it. I think they even played the Pomona Glass House at one point, and that's another big venue. But I don't think I was able to make that. I don't
Mm,
remember I don't remember why. I think it was due to work, and then they had a a fill-in guitarist for me that day. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of backyard shows. We came up with a lot of the local Cali's underground California bands that you have now.
right,
Like in terms of like the hardcore scene. There was came up with a bunch of deathcore bands, hardcore bands, beatdown bands.
right. Okay.
Um, and so I kept certain bands pretty close throughout the years. Fun fact, one of the local bands, I'm waiting to get back I'm waiting to hear back a response to see if they want to do a guest spot on the next single I'm about to drop.
Okay. Okay. I see you. And like over time too, obviously more or less my affiliation when it comes to Cali music and Cali underground music would be SoCal and LA.
Yeah.
Like those are really the only two cities that I'm aware of. And
Mhm.
then I forgot the one that Reminiscence is from. And then there's Ritual of
Reminiscence.
Despair too. But
Yeah.
I know Reminiscence is like I know it starts with R. It's like Risula or something like it's really
Hmm.
like West Coast like
Let's see.
I don't want to sound incredibly white, but it's like West Coast Latino town. Like, that's what I've understood it to be. Um
Wow.
wow. So just for the sake of context, I'm gonna go ahead and look this up real quick before I get fucking canceled or something. Because
You're good.
I mean, I mean, I understand that that might sound insensitive, just like, West Coast Latino town. It's like, okay, buds, you chill
Dude,
out.
you're talking to somebody that's whitewashed as fuck. You're fine.
Yeah, but still, it's like, anyways. Okay, so Visalia. I was kind of close because I was thinking it was like Risalia or Risala. So they're from Visalia.
Visalia. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't know that one.
So
Yeah.
Reminiscence, that's one band I'm trying to get onto the show in the near
Yeah.
future. Ritual of Despair, I'm not sure where they're from, but I love them. And then you got bands like Mark of the Altar, Possession with Intent, Shrine. Like,
Mm-hmm.
those are kind of like the bands and that and
Right.
Lucretia. I'm like hella familiar with them, been buddies with them for a long time. And well, the point is, I hope to expand even more, and maybe
Right.
in the future, if any of those bands that return to the show happen to listen to this episode, they could be like, oh yeah, yeah, I know Josh from Curbstomp the Predator. We used
Yeah.
to work together, that type of shit. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's what I live for, man. That's what I
Yeah.
live for is networking so much and so regularly
Yep.
that artists that you've interviewed separately are like, "Oh shit, I remember this guy." And like, they recall all these various ghost projects that they used to do with these same people. That's the shit I live for because that
Right.
means that by me networking and me being so relentless and talking to new people and telling their story, that means that everything becomes so much more of an integrated cobweb and it just becomes so much more complex. But because of the cobweb, everything becomes so much more connected
Yeah.
and it brings us all together even more. But so you said Neuralize the Path. That was like the first local band that you were in. And it's
Yeah.
cool that you ended up organically answering that because
Mm-hmm.
usually I'll ask musicians about like bands that they were in before this bigger effort. So
Yeah.
you took that chunk of the script per se right out of the session, and
You're
for that I
good.
appreciate that. So Neuralize the Path, you were doing that for a little bit,
Yeah.
complications set in, and if I remember correctly, upon first inquiries with you, you said that Curb Stomp the Predator as a project, which we'll talk about more for sure in
Sure.
later in session, but more or less you said it started in like 2019, 2020,
It
or
actually started. So this is the crazy part. So when Narrow Lies the Path ended, um, literally I began immediately writing for the Father. And I shit you not, that writing process started back in 2013.
wow.
Yeah. So I had a lot on my mind. I had a lot of anger to get off my chest. I knew how I wanted to say it. It took, as you could see, from 2013 to 2018. There was a lot of planning. I knew how I wanted to. Knew literally within those years. Well, before it was even released,
Yeah.
actually, I knew how I wanted the album to sound. I knew how I wanted each song to sound. And literally I had it all planned out and mapped out in my head. Um, and to see it all eventually come together was something like I was super proud of even myself.
Right.
Um, and I didn't know how it was going to impact the world. And at that point, I just really hoped that it would touch somebody in a very you know, hit somebody hard and be like, oh my God, like I'm not the only one. Like this, that's gone through something. And I did have I like trust me, when the project released, I think back in uh 2017 and 2018, believe it or not, I actually had that page created for a while and I was actually under a different name.
Okay.
So I ended up rebranding Curb Stomp the Predator. So before it was like excoriate the Holocaust or something.
Ooh.
Um and I was trying to figure out how I was going to get that to wrap around people's heads to understand what this project was about.
Yeah.
Um Basically that name at the time stands for if because excoriate meant to tear. So in my opinion, I viewed it as if there was a way to tear off a piece of the like out of the book, like that page that the Holocaust happened with, and rip it from
Right.
ever even happening.
Yes.
That's essentially what that name stood for and meant at that time.
That's cool.
But after I wrote The Father and listening to all the lyrics, and I viewed I had actually jumped the gun, and I put out the Kill Your Local Rapist shirts first.
Okay.
At the time, and it had the original logo. So there's a few OGs that have a bunch of those shirts out there, which is awesome. Which is awesome because they understood um um what I was doing what I was aiming for and what this project was about.
Yes.
It wasn't until I got with a buddy of mine and I said, dude, I wanna I think his name is ironically Sean as well.
Fuck
um
yeah.
yeah.
Represent.
um and he and I were talking about it, and he was like, well, what are you going to do? Like, you have your name already. And I'm like, I think I want to rebrand. I want to switch the name. I'm still fairly underground enough that I think I can get away with it,
Mhm.
and it won't create that big of a deal. And I won't, it won't hurt the algorithm or anything that much. So he and I actually came up with the name together, which is awesome. He came up, I think, with the Curbstomp part, and
Yeah.
I knew I wanted something that literally, as soon as people saw the name, they were like, "Wait, what?" They're like,
Yeah.
"Oh shit!" Like, type of
I'll
like
tell you what, that's exactly what happened for me. I'm like, Curbstomp the Predator, let's go. Like it speaks upon a better version
yeah,
of most of slam culture, which is funny because like Curbstomp the Predator, it's prominently a deathcore band.
yeah,
You could also easily see that in with a non-legible logo as a slam band, just like Curbstomp the Predator, like
yeah,
that type of
yeah,
shit.
exactly,
So no, it's super, super cool and very, very effective name because a
yeah,
lot of people they're aware of that type of shit,
yeah,
but they're not really willing to utilize their platform, especially per se if they're a celebrity in Hollywood.
yeah,
Like, are you kidding me? They're not going to utilize their platform
yeah,
and break that down unless it I will say though that there are exceptions in the industry, such as Mark Wahlberg,
right,
which that caught me off guard. Mel Gibson, and let's see, Ashton Kutcher. I'm pretty sure, but I'm not.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's weird. I've been seeing more shit about that recently, and it's like people are saying that he's faking it or whatever, and that
hmm,
like he faked the court case of hunting down after child predators and stuff to like get clout or to like get famous. And I'm like, okay, well, why would you go that far
right,
to fake clout? You know what I mean?
yeah,
So it speaking for Hollywood, right? That
absolutely,
we have those exceptions, and otherwise it's like, well, I get it. People are just trying to focus on their own thing. But
yeah,
when you have such a big problem like that, and it could affect your kids if you ever have kids, it's like
yep,
be
yep,
be a part of it more. So
yep,
in the music industry now, the deep underground counterculture music industry,
yep,
I think it's easy to say that Curb Stomp the Predator is going to be the beginning of that, which is
oh
really,
yeah,
really nice to hear.
yeah,
Because getting into this myself or trying to get into this myself since about like 2014 or 15, man,
yeah,
I've always wanted to do something like that. And the thing is, it made me sick when I went from, okay, deathcore is a culture consistent of people that are monsters off on stage, but off stage, they're absolute teddy bears. They're really good people. They're really philosophical. They're enlightened. They've been through shit. So they're humble, all
yep,
that type of stuff.
yep,
And then digging more into it, it's like you're finding out about all this drama. You're finding out about these record label clicks. You're
yep,
finding out about these people who are being outed for allegations, no matter what tier of the genre they're in, which is nice. But it's like, I didn't want to join this industry knowing that there would be that so often. And
yeah,
not only that, but in some cases, it's like it's kind of swept under the rug
yeah,
because people would rather attach themselves to the music that these individuals create as opposed to their character. And I'm
yeah,
like, that's bullshit.
yeah,
Like that
yep,
just puts the whole like monster on stage, like teddy bear off stage. It flips that whole mechanic and it makes you question everything. I know it made me question everything
Yep.
starting back in 2018-19. So for me, it's really important that there are bands like Curbstomp the Predator who advocate against that sort of behavior on a bigger level. But not only that, there are bands like To the Grave now who are advocating against animal cruelty, and all of them are vegans.
Yep.
I think that's really, really cool. It's really
Yeah.
impressive. It's inspiring. And I think bands like that will start unleashing a new era of more enlightened, less meat-headed slam slash deathcore
Yeah.
enthusiasts
Yeah.
across the board. And
Yeah.
if not, then it's time to kind of restart the scene to a certain
Yeah.
degree.
Yeah.
But that was a rant.
No, no, no. You're good. You're good. You got my full support. Trust me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's after all why we're having this session in the first place. And we managed to have it after two different reschedulings. But
Yeah.
simply said, it's like, I don't know, with Curb Stomp the Predator in mind, you wrote the entirety of The Father, which we'll discuss later in session.
Right.
As we're getting like we're right on the cusp of getting to that halfway point. So don't you worry.
Oh, you're
But
good.
um what I wanted to ask is, what are some of the most important lessons that you've learned, especially with like sound engineering, audio engineering school that you went through, and then that shut down, right? That
Right.
took down an entire aspect, an entire avenue of your life, and you had to improvise. So you've learned how to adapt and overcome with a lot of things. There's a lot of lessons that you've learned. And after all, we are all blind without our failures. We're blind
Yep.
without the obstacles that we have to overcome as life goes on. So, what are some of the most important lessons that you could probably provide to listeners and people in a similar situation to yours that are trying to make music?
Yeah. Um, Biggest takeaway that I could say that I've learned a lot is you never stop learning. Everything is about trial and error. And trust me, there has been numerous trial and error. But in my opinion, um, there is no wrong, but you can actually butcher your song pretty bad if you don't know what you're doing. So
Right.
so um yeah, I don't know, just I'm always experimenting, trying new things. If I don't like something that sounds right, then I nip it in the butt and I take it out. Like I said, I started learning on Logic Pro, and recently with this newer stuff that's come out,
Right.
I've been using Reaper.
I
That's
use
another
Reaper all
DAW.
the time.
Yeah. So so and I actually really like Reaper. I don't know. I no longer have a MacBook Pro. That's a part of the story I forgot to talk about, by the way.
Oh
Um
shit. Okay.
yeah, no, no, you're good. You're good. I'll dive into it a little bit. Actually, this is probably a good time either way.
Yeah.
But at some point my MacBook Pro poofed on me, hence another part of the reason why I was also on a 5-year hiatus. It wasn't There was just some things that were happening, both in my personal life and in the music world, that was keeping me from even keeping that project going. Trust me,
Right.
and this is just for all my listeners, I never meant to just drop off the face of the earth like that. I literally never wanted to do that. I tried. If I could tell you and just show you guys wholeheartedly how much I tried to come back, and just every single time I got close to making something happen, there was something in life that got in the way and just was a huge like door slammed in my face.
Yeah.
Um so
And that shit happens. Like
yeah.
that's the obstacles that we are talking about, or that I mentioned not too long ago. And that's the reason I named my band what I did, Blind Without Our Failures,
Yeah.
is because if you don't have those major obstacles that get in your way. And for me, I would say the most recent failure, the most recent obstacle was my absolute financial ruin. Like, if you don't have stuff like that in life, of course, in the moment, it sucks. And you get to a point where you want to die a little bit. You're
Yeah.
like, wow, this is really shitty. I feel like other people that I've given negative critique to, that I've been impatient with, that I've been short with, because I'm in this spot now myself. And it's like,
Right.
well, especially when you're as self-critiquing as I am, it breaks down to, wow, you really took 2 months to get another job.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And there's only so much you can do in that time to kind of correct the situation. But overall, it's like, that's my most recent failure. That was my most recent obstacle. For you, it's like, well, I can only imagine that you got demotivated after your equipment, your technology failed on you. And not
Yeah.
only that, but after you already dealt with that decline from
Yep.
having that music program shut down, you're like, okay, I'll try this on my own. Ah, never mind, it all, went to shit.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it continued descending. And
Mhm.
sometimes you have to let the failure fester a little bit. But
Yeah.
what I mean by that is acknowledging it, trying to learn from it, not dwelling upon it like I did,
Yep.
and basically just giving yourself constant negative critique, or trying to use that negative critique to discipline yourself into quote, never being in that situation again. That shit's unrealistic.
Mhm.
Um, Sometimes you're going to deal with obstacles. Sometimes you're going to deal with 3 different obstacles all in one go. And you're going to be so incredibly challenged. You're going to be on the brink mentally that you don't know what to do next. That's a good thing. That
Yeah.
can be a good thing. Utilize that to figure out why you're there in the first place. And
Right.
then either take a break, breathe,
Mhm.
or fight even harder. Comes down to
Yep.
2 options.
Yep.
Either you stop and take a breath, or you fight even harder to make sure that you get out of that hole, and that you can do what you want to do, and that you can do what everybody else is supporting you to do.
Right.
Because without that support, I'll tell you what, like, I have as many subscribers as I do for Sean Cross right now, and that's great. It's fantastic. Um, but at the end of the day, it's like, it's all up to me to motivate myself, to get myself off my ass and create these clickbait reacting YouTube videos, right? It's
Right.
all up to you
Right.
to decide in one day, okay, am I going to upload one video? Am I going to upload 3 videos? But of course, you also always need to understand your limits.
Absolutely. And actually, if I may, there's
Yes.
there is I as a studio producer, audio engineer, that comes with a lot of different, your music taste basically is all over the place.
Neutralized. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like you have so much diversity in your music taste. So you're not just listening to metal, you're listening to hip hop, you're listening to rap, jazz, pop, punk, whatever. There is actually a line by a rapper that I really freaking love. His name is Dizzy Wright. He's pretty well known. But there is, I forget what song it is, but it's off of his album The Golden Age, and there's a lyric in there that says only you can slow you down.
Yes.
And literally the first time I heard that, that just stuck with me, and that's literally been my ride or die motto for myself, to just push myself.
Yeah.
And ironically enough, now that we're talking about the kind of the hiatus and where I've been
Yes.
the last 5 years, if I may go into that,
Yeah, of course.
because I owe it to my listeners for an absolute explanation on that. Um, that it wasn't just, at some point the laptop absolutely did break, and I tried to come back. I even got another laptop, and then that one pooped out on as well. Um, and with me being gone, and I didn't know what to do. Just so you know, on the sidelines as well, I was going through marriage problems. As
Oh.
we speak, I am now divorced. I'm a single parent of 3.
Oh,
So
shit.
yeah, full custody of all 3. So um that's been a thing too. And I promise you guys, I've never been happier. There's never been a more fire lit under my ass than there is literally right now. And that's why I'm pushing this project so freaking hard, and I'm able to push this project so hard. Um, and if you want me to give you a little more explanation on what happened within the marriage, that's fine. I don't mind. I got nothing to hide. 110%. Um,
Up to you.
it's just I was the working man for 12 years. Never worked a
sucks.
day in their life. Yeah, never worked a day in their life. And because of that, we had a lot of financial problems. Um, and I would go into that, but if I go into it, I'm gonna stop ranting, and that's not what I want to do. So so
Fair enough.
I'll just say that. Um so ultimately that having the financial problems ultimately destroyed our marriage. It sucks. And the kids, the kids have been absolutely troopers through this thing, believe
Good.
it or not. They have been absolutely the best freaking kids in the world. Um but like I said, at some point down the line, my laptop did end up pooping out on me. I didn't know what to do. Eventually, I invested in a desktop, and I never meant to get into gaming again, but I did. And I ended up becoming a streamer out of it. Um, and I actually recently quit streaming to come back to music because I knew, no, like I need to stop this because this is not benefiting me the way I know that music would. Like there
Mhm.
are still like I'm sitting here wasting my freaking time playing a damn video game. No offense to all the gamers. No offense to all the gamers, but there's people out there that literally still need help. And I'm thinking, shit, like, I need to get back into music. Like I just need to do it. And
Yeah.
then I did. And then I started getting into Reaper. I started learning Reaper. I started watching tons of tutorials on it. I'm still watching tons of tutorials on it. Still trying to figure out my mixing and mastering sound. But for right now, for this next single coming up, actually, a buddy of mine is actually helping with the mixing and mastering. So this single is actually going to sound 1,000 times better than This Is War. And I would love to I'm sorry. I would
You're
love
good.
to remix and remaster This Is War as well and give it a little more oomph than what it already came out with.
Okay.
It just needs to be cleaned up a little bit for my taste. But I wanted to show everybody that I was back. And
That
there
makes
was
sense.
yeah, there was literally no better way to do it. But if anybody wants to know where I've been for the last 5 years, that's literally what happened within the last 5 years.
Yeah,
And
it's a
then
lot.
and then this last year was literally the separation up to the divorce. So
Oh.
yeah,
Yeah,
it
fair
was not
enough, man.
yeah.
It's like I don't know. I in recent times I can say that as far as having a relationship or creating a partnership with anybody, for me, it hasn't lasted any longer than 3 or 4 months, if
Mhm.
not maybe a week or two. And there is a sort of grace with that. And really, the way I look at it, seeing everybody around me who is married, who has kids, who's married and has kids, who's married, has kids, and has a house, like that good old nuclear family combo going
Yeah.
on.
Oh yeah.
Um, of course, I'm happy for them. I'm very excited for their futures as they have definitely secured their futures. But who's to say with the most neutral emotional standing point possible,
Right.
who's to say that they had the opportunity to follow their dreams and really put
Mhm.
a whole bunch of energy into various ambitions? I know that my own father, my own parents, they started really early. My father was 21. My mom was 18. They were fresh out of high school, or at least my mom was. Because now thinking back on it, it's like, well, my father would have been out of high school for a little bit at that point. And he would probably have just been sticking around the area per se, which is kind of sus. But um, what I can say is that I have 3 years on him where I've only had two situations where I've almost been glued and obligated into having kids. But other
Yeah.
than that, it's like I haven't had to ground myself that way
Right.
just yet. And I, to a certain degree, am grateful because as hopelessly chivalrous and romantic as I would love to be, there is just way too much stuff going on that I want to see through before I even try to find someone or have kids. if that
Settle
makes
down.
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely.
because depending on how a person absorbs this saying is really up to them. That's how they kind of determine where their mind is right now. But I have a saying: always appreciate, never settle.
Mhm.
And basically that breaks down to appreciating all the opportunities, all the connections that you make in your life, but never settling. Having almost an unlimited sense of ambition, always reaching for the stars because the stars do provide warmth. They're just not anywhere close.
Right.
If you reach for the stars and you manage to grab onto one, well, hang on tight because either you're going to be there until it reaches supernova or you'll see it die out.
Yeah.
You'll see it kind of like wither out and kind of snuff itself out. You got to hold on to those flames. You got to hold on to those fires because I
Yep.
saw my father give up on those fires, on those ambitions the moment he had us, which
Oh
I
yeah.
think biologically speaking, psychologically speaking, there's just something in your brain for some people, at least for people like him, where the moment that you have those bigger efforts before you, you're like, well, I literally won't have time for this. I haven't financially invested into it just yet.
Right.
So instead of doing anything more, I'm just going to give up on all of that and become a full-time dad instead, which, yes,
Right.
very admirable. Like that's what most people would be willing to do. But I think for me, it's like thinking of that, the premise of that kind of terrifies me. And at least we have individuals like Josh here, or I forgot his name from Fit for an Autopsy because he's a father.
Joe Bad.
Not
Is it Joe?
Joe.
Oh,
The
Patrick.
I think he's the older guitarist, bald.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
Patrick. Yeah.
Patrick.
Yeah.
So we got people like Josh. We got people like Jordan Milner of the Breeding Process. We have Pat from Fit for an Autopsy. We have all these individuals who basically are living their lives when they're
Yep.
not touring rock stars.
Yep.
And for that, I'm like, bravo.
Yeah.
Congrats on managing to balance that out because
Yeah.
I don't
It's a
know if I
lot.
could. Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
And like, think about it. Not only do I want to become a musician, not only do I want to tour in a band one day, but I also want to become a supernatural investigator. I want to become an author, a graphic artist, a tattoo artist, and possibly a streamer.
There you go.
And did I mention author already?
No, that's a new one.
And I want to become an author. Like there's so much shit that I'm trying to put my mind to, but right now it's like, dude, you're broke. You can't afford to worry about any of that. Of course, like jot it down on pieces of paper or put it down in notes on your phone. Other than that, you need to work, that type of shit.
Yeah.
That's been like that's been the ultimate dilemma of my life recently. And I think that's the reason that 2023 and my emotional impression of it just kind of collapsed, you know?
Yeah.
Like when you don't have the means to feed even little pennies, even little crumbs into the eventual bread loaf of these ideas, these dreams, it's just so demotivating,
Right.
right? So, um, with that in mind, we've been talking a lot about ambition. We've been talking a lot about just trying to keep your brain together,
Oh
trying to keep
yes.
your mind together and overcome various obstacles, which I think is very important because
Absolutely.
not often, even on this show, really, do I talk about stuff like that. But I think I needed that,
Hmm.
just to provide my perspective. And
It's always
uh,
good event, bro.
it's always good to vent. I don't want a therapist. I'll just have my podcast and bother random ass people around the world with my issues.
Oh yeah.
But this is something definitely that I've been meaning to do for a long time. This is definitely part of the formula with the show. All right. So something that's very much a part of the anatomy crosscast formula and something that I've been meaning to do for a long time, but I don't think I've done it in the last 3 to 4 episodes of the show, which is very strange. But At the end of the people part of the podcast, something that's very personal to you and allows for more identity in the episode, if not the intro, which this episode's intro was done by Josh. Thank you for putting the time and effort into putting your incredible vocal spectrum upon what is such a chaotic ass instrumental intro.
Oh, yeah.
What I want to do is I want to kind of put some pressure on you
Okay.
in the least toxic way possible. I want to go ahead and pluck 5 different albums, artists, or people throughout your entire musical journey that have helped you really fine tune and compress like diamonds under magma and shit. What you do creatively for Curbstomp the Predator.
Okay. So I could tell you right off the bat, first and foremost, my favorite again is just a Christian, I think, metalcore / hardcore band that a lot of people know, probably very well. My Children, My Bride. Matt
Okay.
and I think Joe, he's no longer, he was a bassist in the band at one point in time. He used to be my favorite member, but then he stepped down at some point. That's another band that I literally grew up with. Basically, every band, I want to say within the 2008 to 2009 era, when deathcore was popping, when hardcore was popping, you had Whitechapel, This Is Exile. That's when you had like I said, My Children, My Bride. I think their Unbreakable album. Um, uh, Freak. I think even I Declare War was doing something at the time, and I can't remember what album they had going for them. But that was literally, everybody looks back on the 2002, 2008, 2009 era of metalcore, deathcore. That's when As Lay Dying was pretty solid. Haste the Day was another big one. There was Prada, definitely. But I want to say the top 5 off of the top of my head would probably be Whitechapel, My Children, My Bride, Molotov Solution, I Declare War, and I think that's when they did the little video of I declare Goddess with disfiguring the goddess.
That's right. Okay.
I think that's when that video came out too, and I still love that video. That video still is hard as hell to this day. I could go back and watch that a million times. I don't care. It's filthy.
Right.
Um, but I want to say in terms of like I guess lyrical stuff, My Children, My Bride, probably influenced me the most, as well as Molotov Solution. Nick Arthur by far is my favorite metal vocalist. He's got the same, he and I kind of do the both. If you notice, I do a lot of mid-range stuff like call outs and stuff. He does a lot of
Right.
that as well. So I get a lot of my influences from Nick Arthur, Phil Bozeman, always, forever and
Always.
always. Yeah. Very little bit of Mitch Lucker from Suicide Silence, the OG.
Yeah. The OG.
The OG. R.I.P. Um, but the hardcore element that comes with Curbstomp the Predator is definitely influenced, again, like I said, by My Children, My Bride. They kind of bridged the metalcore into hardcore gap because they have a lot of 2-steps, and that's one thing that always stuck with me. And when I saw them live for the very first time and I saw how hard everybody went in the pit when their 2-steps came in, I was just like, holy crap, like I need more of that. Like whatever that is, I want to discover more of it. And then some of my friends showed me a bunch of hardcore bands, and I heard the same exact stuff, similar stuff, and then everything there. And a lot of hardcore bands, like their lyrics were personal, like for example Lionheart. um if you listen to, if anybody knows Lionheart, that vocalist, I can't remember his name, but he has a lot of real, his music is just real, like his lyrics are just real, like you can relate to them, and I love shit like that.
Right.
I love being able to relate. I think My Children, My Bride, and I can't remember, I would have to look it up real fast. I think it's their Endless album. I think that's what it is. It's their self-titled EP, I think. Or I'm sorry, album. And that's what it is. The Endless. It's one of their self-titled albums. The Endless is a very personal album, and Matt, who's the lead singer of My Children, My Bride, really grew on me even more so on that song because it's about his mom. Basically getting the phone call that his mother had passed away and he never really got to know her. Like like that shit like that.
Yeah.
Like like the realization of shit like that. That's what fucking draws me. That's what gets me in. Um Nick Arthur's a advocate and a lyricist in his own right. He talks about a lot of shit that's fucked up with our government.
Right.
You know, he's very uh political in that aspect. Um, but yeah, I know I listed more than 5 bands. Um,
That's
I
fine,
mean, yeah,
honestly.
yeah, but I mean, I don't know. Like, I listed all those bands because my influence comes from literally all of them.
Oh,
Like that era literally built like created me like musically. I want to say like my mindset, how I wanted things to sound. And then like I said, 2013 is when I started writing that album, the Father album, and I wanted I wanted to reflect kind of upon that era musically.
right.
Oh my gosh.
Continue.
All right, there we go. Jeez. Um, where did I leave off? Okay. Then verse 4, repulsive slime, you have no idea what you created. I'm your bastard flesh. I am rage. I am horror. Then it goes on and says, run, hide, it won't matter, cower. The Reaper is coming for you. Father, your time is up. Oops. Gosh dang it, my phone keeps lagging.
Don't do that.
I know, right? Where are
Phone. Work with me.
right? Gosh dang it.
Gosh, turn
Okay.
it off.
Here we go. And oh, here we go. Then it says contacted via email. The look of shock on your face when you realize your son wants to meet you face to face. So let's just say somebody gave me his email. I write him, and then he realizes like, oh shit, like probably doesn't even realize he had a son,
Right.
you know, and that I'm fucking coming for his fucking throat. Then it goes on and says terror, sweat runs down your face. So this is his perspective. What's going on? Um, Anxiety seeks in. Will you accept this invitation? It's not like you really have a choice. And then it goes on and says the voices in my head have never been more clear. They tell me to kill, kill, kill. Constructing the ultimate torture devices, preparing the most disturbing welcome. My hands are violently shaking. This place is home. This place is hell. I've never felt more alive. So that definitely gives off, I'll say, Whitechapel, This Is Exile album type of vibes, just off of reading that. Because, you know, if you've read any of Phil Bozeman's lyrics off of that album, it gets pretty gruesome.
Yeah.
Um, and then I'm saying, then after that, I go, oh, Father, can you sense my shadow creeping up behind you, whispering in your ear, I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you. You're fucking dead. Prepare for me. Prepare for the equalizer. Prepare the plot. Prepare for revenge. At long last, the predator becomes the prey. I can hardly contain myself. I can't wait to unleash hell. That is the plot.
Badass. All right. I mean, as we're continuing to go through this album, like you said it yourself, man, it just gets more dark and more dark and more dark. And once you made that realization, once you knew what emotions to attach your own blood and father to,
Yeah.
it's like that the rest is history.
Yeah.
The rest becomes so clear.
Oh, yeah.
Track 8, we have The Meeting.
Absolutely. So a meeting, pretty self-explanatory. So the very first lyric is invitation accepted. So he's accepted the email that I spoke about earlier in the plot. Invitation accepted, message received, you're well on your way, breathing your last breath, taking your last step. You don't even know what to expect. You're closing in to your deathbed. I'm curious to know what's on your mind, like I really give a shit.
Right.
I'm chomping at the bit, grinding my teeth. Then the next verse, foaming at the mouth, impatiently waiting. I'm pacing left and right. Oh, I'm pacing left. I'm pacing right. My anger severely increases. I haven't even begun to express myself. I haven't begun.
No.
um, then it goes on and says, I can't wait to beat the shit out of you, you fucking coward. Thank 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 you for creating me so I have the pleasure to kill you myself. Thank you for creating me so I can have the pleasure to watch you die. That is pretty fucking gnarly, even for
Yeah.
me. Even for me.
Even for you?
I'm just kidding.
You're like, wow. Just like
Yeah,
Owen Wilson. Wow.
right? Dude, I love doing that. That's one of us. One of us.
One of us.
We are
Wow.
brothers. We are
We,
brothers.
we're brothers, Loki. It's all about that jet ski life. Ka-chow.
Ka-chow.
Ka-chow. You were saying.
I'm sorry.
You're good. You're good. That was me that time.
Yeah. All right. Then it goes on and says, are you feeling sorry yet? Don't even waste your time. I'm counting on your pathetic state of mind. When I show the when you show up at my door confronted with guilt, trust me, I won't even think twice when I flip the switch. You're getting closer. So he's driving, he's on his way, he's getting closer and closer. Um, fun fact, it's not written on here, but in my mind, once he's accepted that email, I have like a little GPS tracking on his phone. And
Okay.
I'm watching him literally move
Like
his
step by step.
step by step, getting closer by closer. So that's just a little fun little fact about that.
Mhm.
And going deeper in my mind here. Then it goes on back to the chorus, invitation accepted, message received, you're well on your way, breathing your last breath, taking your last steps, so you don't even know what to expect. Then next verse says, rapist, parasite, you will rot with the dead, rapist, parasite, you all belong to the depths of hell. Then the story continues. You exit the freeway with thoughts still spinning. I guarantee you will have some bullshit excuse or bullshit apology. Unfortunately for you, you will be both physically and mentally disappointed. I will get my hands around your fucking neck. These aren't just words. These are promises.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah. So it gets it, like I said, super, super fucking personal right off the bat, super fucking dark. Then the chorus repeats. Invitation accepted, message received, you're well on your way, breathing your last breaths, taking your last steps. You don't even know what to expect. Then we get to the bridge. You pull up the driveway and exit the car. You walk up to the front door and begin to knock. Then the outro. This is the moment you've been waiting for, or should I say, I've always wanted. I don't even want to imagine or accept what's going through your mind. Hearts pounding, veins showing, hands clutching, and red eyes glowing. This anticipation is killing me from the inside out. Please come in. I welcome you with open arms as I lock the door behind you and take it back to the back of your cranium.
That's pretty specific there, friend.
Yeah,
Love it.
yeah.
I love it.
It's like I said, it's what I envisioned. Then that is the meaning.
Cool. And then track 9, we have the abduction.
Yes, sir. So then continuing on from the meeting, I guarantee you never saw this coming. You probably thought you would get away from it all. No consequences, no regrets, just a fucking hard on waiting to erupt. I planned this day for far too long, lurking in the shadows, watching your every demise. You're a disease that needs to be eradicated from existence.
Pardon me.
Yep, you're good. Do your thing. Do what you gotta do.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Okay. um, and it goes on and says, I drag your body to the back door. I pop the trunk. I pop open the trunk of the car, bash your head against the bumper repeatedly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Little bonk bonk moment right there.
Yeah. I have even begun I haven't even begun stop ridding I haven't even begun to start ridding this earth of the ongoing plague. I find this so amusing as I toss you in the trunk. Oh, how I love the irony. Father abducted by the bastard son. How I love the irony. Father abducted by the bastard son.
So in this
So,
situation, basically, like you're like this is fictional, right?
correct.
The scenario is fictional.
Correct.
But basically you imagine yourself luring your blood father to a specific location and
Correct.
then like faking an abduction after
Fake it.
like or
Fake it.
faking,
No,
yeah.
no, he is the abduction. It is happening. So
Right.
as the story is going on, yeah. So he lit like if you remember from the meeting, I welcome him in, comes in the door. I'm hitting him in the back of the head with a baseball bat.
Oh,
Then he's falling to his ground. Then I'm dragging him from around the house, throwing him back in the car that's hiding behind the house or apartment, whatever building we're in. Um, and then it, like I said, it's me abducting him. Like I'm literally throwing him into the fucking car. Again, like you said, this is all fictional, but this is what I had envisioned
right. Gotcha.
if he ever came around.
Right.
Yeah, which he better not.
You may continue, sir.
All right. Let's see. Da, 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 da. I've okay, I said that part. So then continuing on, I say I've waited 27 years. My patience has finally run dry. Your lifeline is in my hands. The wolf has finally cornered the prey. So at this time, when I wrote this, I was 27 years old.
Okay.
This is 5 years later. I'm still
Heard.
27. Um,
Heard.
uh, um, then it continues on. It says, something tells me that you're awake. So I can hear like noises inside the trunk. So I slam on the brakes and hear your body thrash. Your eyes are wide open. You're pissed off as ever. I smile and lunge, choking the air out of your lungs. So literally slam on the brakes. He's pissed off. I'm pissed the fuck off. I pop the trunk open and then I start choking him again. Like this is just like relentless. Like literally Hollywood would literally feed off of this story. I swear to God.
Yeah.
Um, and then I'm yelling. And then I'm as the struggle is happening, I'm begging him to throw a punch, but you just quiver in fear. Tell me why I shouldn't just kill you right here. Again, there's a little rhyme. As I stab you in the chest. Then he blacks out. So the next part is literally blackout. What was the last thing you remember? Blackout. Tell me, what will be the last thing you feel? And then it gets even more personal. So continuing on that, so I'll read it all as one. Blackout. What will be the last thing that you remember? Blackout. Tell me, what will be the last thing you feel? Raping your own daughter or feeling the feeling of your son's hands wrapped around your fucking throat? I'm far from finished with you. We're almost to our destination. Blackout.
Heard.
And then that is the end of the abduction.
Cool. So the abduction went pretty well, even though it's very violent. That's the intention.
Right.
So
Correct.
we continue to curb stomp the predator as we look to wrap up the father.
Absolutely.
Track 10 would be the punishment.
Absolutely. So the punishment, a fun fact about this one is when you think of the punishment, think of the movies Saw, like the
Yes.
Saw franchise. What he does to his victims is basically what I've copycatted. So I mentioned, I believe, before for the plot, in the plot that I was preparing, let's say, devices and things.
Right.
Haven't actually prepared devices or things yet.
Disclaimer,
disclaimer, guys. But basically, I have everything in order. I have everything all set up, each and every way that he's about to be basically tortured. So just to kind of give you a heads up of what we're going into here. All right. So get to the spot, torture chamber, if you will.
Mhm.
Make it sound medieval and badass metal. Starts off, let's not waste time. Welcome to your new hell. Don't get comfortable. I promise this won't end well. Still confused. I'm happy to oblige as I tear the eyelids off your eyes. So literally, yeah. Like I said, think of Saw. Think of like picture Saw in this moment. Shut your mouth. Stop. Yeah. Shut your mouth. Stop crying. Stop screaming. Shut your mouth. Yeah, I'm sure that's what you said to her that night when you foolishly created your worst mistake. Pulverized to the mat. Look who's the bitch now. Like it's fucking it gets personal.
Yeah.
All right. Irony is quite sweet, isn't it? I never got the chance to thank you for nothing. Now where was I? Oh, I'm sure you'll enjoy this next. Rev the chainsaw to the groin, rev the chainsaw to your fucking groin. So at this point, you're thinking, oh my God, like Friday the 13th, Jason, you're giving those type of vibes. Bleeding out, grasping for air. You whisper, I'm sorry, 27 years too late.
Yeah.
And it goes on to the chorus. Pathetic excuse for man. Let's continue with the torture. Bear traps for your bloody hands. You scream in horror. I guess you never thought what would happen if I came back to find you. Worthless human, I'm ashamed to call you dad. This is eternal punishment. Don't worry. I promise this will be slow. Don't discriminate my existence because this is just the beginning. It goes into the chorus again. You pathetic excuse for man. Let's continue with the torture. Bear traps for your bloody hands. You scream in horror. And then we continue on. You begin to fade. No, don't you quit just yet. I pour a bucket of blood, his blood. Pour a bucket of blood back down your ratchet throat. Awaken as I turn the TV on and force you to watch while I peel the flesh off your bones. So in that moment, off of that song, at this point, there is an actual clip from the Saw movie where there is I don't remember which Saw it was, but there is a rapist in one of them.
Okay.
And
Please tell me Saw is like more ruthless with the predator.
oh yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. No. Actually, I think it's some guy. Yeah. Well. Basically, what happens is the guy has to kill the predator.
Yeah.
The guy walks into the room with his predator. Then Saul reveals like everything that he's done.
Yeah.
So, in this instance, let's say the person I got the anonymous tip from has also sent me proof and footage of not just one victim, of several, and they all came from him. So this is literally him being forced to watch all that shit that he did. And this is happening basically all because of him.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, while that's all going on, I'm getting more pissed off as fuck. because
Yeah.
I'm dealing with both him and then what the fuck is on the television. So,
Right.
um, so then let's see. Then I forced him to watch. Literally, I forced him to watch like the fucking television. Look at what you did to all those helpless victims traumatized for life. You deserve everything unpleasant. Let's see how much more blood you can lose. So continues on. Actually, it ends right there. So that is the punishment.
Okay. That would be the punishment, is just getting like, a little bit more heavy, a little bit darker,
A little
and
more
just a little bit
darker.
more ruthless with
Yeah.
your own father, which in that circumstance I would completely understand. I would be the same exact way. Hell,
Yeah.
I already am,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I didn't go through near as much shit as you did.
Right.
Um, so the final track on The Father would be The Death. What is The Death
Correct.
about?
The death is basically just as it says. So um, at this point, he's gone through hell. I've literally put him through the fucking. I've literally put in the work on this motherfucker,
Mhm.
and he's gone through hell. Um, and this is basically the next morning after. So the lyrics start off. Dawn approaches. The night is lost. Your blood is still draining like a river flowing downstream. So how does it? So is this how it ends? Is my vengeance completed yet? Should I pull the trigger, ending my life with yours? A lot of people, and this is going to be a touchy subject for most, I'll
Okay.
say. Um, this project isn't just about helping victims of sexual abuse. It's also a big part of suicide prevention as well.
Right.
Because of the trauma, they can't live with themselves. Maybe, they go through things like with what, my mother did. They get impregnated with by the rapist, and then abortion comes in the picture and all of that, as well as again thoughts of suicide. Well, I'm carrying his baby. I might as well kill two birds in one stone. Take 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 my take the child with me as well as myself. I can't, like I can't bear the thought um of going through such trauma, and the fact that he touched me and all this. I literally victims, every single one of them, they deserve to have their voice fucking heard, and
Yes.
they know that suicide is
Not the answer.
not the answer, but I am a living proven factor of somebody that is a survivor who, in my own right, who didn't get aborted by my birth mom. And she had every single right. If she would have done it, she would have had every single right to do so.
Yeah.
But because she didn't make that choice, I was able to have a family. And now they are living, and I can't picture a world without them
Right.
whatsoever, you know, and that's where it hits hard. And that's where, again, it gets touchy with people. But when I say I'm actual living proof of somebody that is basically a product of rape,
Yes.
and I'm proof of what happens when you don't abort. And I would
Right.
encourage most women to actually reconsider, but to each their own. That's
Yeah.
totally fine. I fully get it. I totally 100% understand, because like I said, if my mother had done it to me, 100%, I would have understood wholeheartedly. I would have understood that.
Right.
But at the same time, I have three other lives. It's not just my own. I have three kids that I'm all raising. And like I said, I just can't picture a world without them. And so I'm doing this not just for victims of sexual abuse. I'm not doing this just for suicidal prevention. Also doing this for children all over the place, whether they realize it or not. You know, it's all about freeing those kids. You know, we got to start somewhere. Somebody's got to stand up and do something, and that's what I'm hoping to do with this project.
Right.
But sorry,
You're fine.
but
This is your time, bro.
appreciate it, bro. But to continue on, just to kind of refresh everybody where we are in the death.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I'll restart that over. Dawn approaches. It goes on, says, Dawn approaches, the night is lost, your blood is still draining like a river flowing downstream. Is this how it ends? Is my vengeance completed yet? Should I pull the trigger, ending my life with yours? Now tell me, where's the satisfaction in that? Your heart is barely pounding. Has it sunk in that your own creation was your greatest failure? I believe I, I believe that God put me here to kill you, the father figure. I was put here to silence you by any means. You're one of the many devil's demons. I was put here to silence you by any means. You are one of many of the devil's demons. So a tiny hint of religion there.
Yeah.
A tiny hint, but that's not what this project is about whatsoever. I want to make that perfectly clear.
Cool.
um,
I mean, honestly, too, I did
mhm.
want to speak up upon that. It's like if it is, then that's okay.
Yeah,
As long as you're not like toxic about it. Because
no,
fortunately, evangelical, like MAGA level Christians and shit, they
yeah.
really just kind of ruin it for everybody else.
Like I said, I'm not most Christians by any means. If anything, most Christians would frown upon me for even taking this shit this
Yeah,
far.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. And that's the
yeah,
issue too. But
yeah. But here I am. I'll deal with the consequences later on when I'm dead. So
right.
so there's that. Then we continue on. And by the way, this song is actually super melodic. If
Mhm.
you haven't heard it you just yet, this song is actually super melodic. And I could not have pictured a more beautiful way to end the album as is. But anyway, it goes on to say, buried alive, can you feel the dirt? Buried alive, can you feel the gas? Remember the smoke that slithers in your nostrils. Remember the dirt as it piles higher and higher. Remember me. Then it ends on, remember that I'm not sorry. Remember your bastard son. Remember your downfall. Remember I'm your death. And that, in a nutshell, is the entire Father album.
Fuck yeah. And one thing I can easily say is that while you've been navigating us through your debut full length record, I think immediately the only thing that kind of caught me off guard was the fact that every track was it was named The Origin, The Birth, The Questions,
Yeah.
The Father, The Hatred. Like at first I was like, a little weird. Haven't seen that before. Just every track is the, but
Yeah.
when you really think about it,
It's a
I'm
book.
sure, yeah, it's a book, exactly.
Yeah.
And every chapter could start with So I cannot wait to listen to this record. I cannot wait to listen to this album, as old as it may be. That doesn't
Mhm.
mean shit here
Yep.
on the Sean
Yep.
Cross channel. After all, we have so many gaps to fill as far as listening to Carnifex or becoming better fans of many bands that we hold so dear today that have been releasing music for such a long time.
Yeah.
There's a lot for me to catch up on, and this is going to be one of those things that I do catch up on. But if anything, what I wanted to ask before we go ahead and descend into the under the skin session for This Is War is how great did it feel and how relieving was it to finally conquer getting the father out when you did? Because I know you said you took a long time in writing most of the songs on this record. So like
Oh
what
yeah.
was going through your head after you got the album released? Like how did the reception go back then? Do you have any profound stories of its connection with the audience, that type of thing?
Believe me when I tell you, I learned so quickly and so fast that I am not alone. And there were so many stories. I cannot even begin to tell you the amount of stories of people's personal experiences that they had endured, that they came forward, that they opened up about freely. And they said, I've never spoken to anybody about this. And I let them know, you have a safe place here. You will always have a fucking safe place here. I don't care. I will go through. This project is literally me going through hell for you guys, and I will continue to go through that hell for you guys whatsoever. That's why I'm so eager to get merch going out there, so everybody can show off and know that they're not alone. You know, you might walk down the street and look, there's a group of 5 all wearing the same merch. Like, holy shit, you
Mhm.
know, it just it,
There's
it
something
literally
different about that.
there's something different about it, and when you realize that we're all united as one, um I think is literally the sweetest thing in the world. And then absolutely after releasing this album, the amount of weight I lifted that got lifted off of my shoulders, um from finally telling my story so the world could hear it, and finally not just for the world, but it was a personal victory for me to get off of my chest because I had so much to say.
Right.
And after it was all said and done, I felt so relieved. um you know, I felt so relieved. At first, my family didn't really understand. They thought that I just needed to go through this. It was just a phase, and I just needed to get the get through something this off my chest. It wasn't until later on that they had realized the bigger picture. And then when I came back, especially when I came back with a whole new message, a
Yeah.
whole new a whole new reason to push this project, then they started hopping on the bandwagon, realizing, oh my gosh, like this is huge. You're going to be helping so many people. And I'm like, that's what that's all I've ever wanted to do was help people. I wanted to sign up for the Marines to protect home,
Yeah.
you know. So I got a big heart. You
Yeah.
can
I do
definitely
too.
say that. I got a big heart. I might sound like a demon and a monster, but I got a big heart.
Yeah. It falls in line with that mindset we were talking about earlier, and how, like, what you're introduced to when you get into the scene,
Yeah,
which is really nice. And then you learn about the other stuff, but that's a completely different story.
absolutely.
Um, so with that being said, that would be Under the Skin of the Father. Now, we briefly go under the skin of This Is War. Now, there are only 2 tracks on this EP, so this should be really, really easy to just like fly through.
Oh yeah.
But you may take as much time as you want as far as lyrically dissecting this 2-track EP. What would you say is the difference between This Is War and The Father?
So one thing that will bridge the gap between both here for you is that everybody wants to know about the clown.
Yes.
All right. So I'll be straight up and honest with you guys. I'm not that big of a Slipknot fan. A lot of people see the mask and they think, "Oh my gosh, nice Slipknot mask." Not a Slipknot mask. It's not a Slipknot mask. I'm not really that big on Slipknot. Don't get me wrong; they have a few good songs, they do, but I never got into them like that.
Okay.
Yeah. The same thing with Ice Nine Kills. They got a few good songs. I never gotten into them like that.
Fair.
The point of the mask is it's supposed to symbolize my alter ego. So when I wrote The Father, just kind of like a Michael Myers thing, you know, he puts on the mask, he becomes his alter ego. He becomes something more. Think of it like that. So when you see me put on the mask, you know shit's about to get down. Shit's getting real. No holds bars. We mean fucking business whatsoever. That's what those masks back there symbolizes. Um, I'm actually missing my first one that I got, but 2 of them, the one on the bottom, actually, you want me to bring it in?
Sure. Yeah, let's do it.
This one was a custom made one by the Mad Maskman. Make sure you guys go and check him out. He does really amazing work. Does such amazing job. This is actually chipping a little bit. I'm annoyed with that. He does really amazing work. It's all what do you call it? The clay, like the clay substance, I guess you could say, that you use to create the mask. I forget that there's a name for it. I can't remember off the top
Molding
of my
clay.
head. Molding clay. Yeah. So that's what that is. And it's really see this one actually glows in the dark. It's actually
Oh,
really
that's
sick.
sick.
Yeah. So some of the green ooze that you see that you can kind of see here.
Yes.
All right. So any spot that there's green ooze, it glows. And I think even around the you can see it off the top of the skull here.
Yes.
It all glows, which is literally amazing. I've never
So
seen
cool.
anything like that. Never seen anything like it. But if I were to step into a room with a black light, they would all show.
You'd pop off.
All
Yeah.
pop off. Yeah. This one is my most recent one.
Yes.
This was basically my return. Um, like I'm back type of deal.
Yeah.
And then
I do like that one a lot.
I know I love this one too. And yeah, as you can see, the Mad Maskin, he signed the back of it there.
That's cool.
Yeah, he signs his mask, which is awesome.
Now, if I may ask too, like as someone who might be doing a similar gig, as far as like getting a mask, I'm thinking of getting something kind of similar to Jim Root, but with my own touches on it, because I don't want to do corpse paint forever. But if it's affordable, if it's doable, sure. How much did that mask end up being?
These, I think, were ranged around 150 to 180.
Damn.
They were totally worth it. Yeah.
Right.
I'm actually going to be hitting up another artist here pretty soon. If anybody knows John Candy, he recently, I think that's his name, John Candy.
John Candy is the comedian who passed away.
No, I'm so sorry. What the heck is his name? Freaking John? What the hell is that guy's name? Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
I gotta look it up real fast. Gosh, dang it.
John, rest in peace, John Candy.
What the heck is it? Oh, the John Candy. Oh, it actually is called the John Candy.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So if you've never heard of that project, I sincerely, wholeheartedly recommend it. It's a solo project, I believe, as well, as far as I know. He takes basically, well, he's done some crazy shit, but basically he takes a bunch of samples and stuff from either movies or other artists, like for example, like Green Day, and he'll blend or stuff like songs from like Britney Spears. He'll blend it and mesh it all together. Orion and Hardcore Keem have both reacted to his stuff, but he puts metal behind all of it, so it's just like all, I don't know, it's chaotic, but he's got like breakdowns and things all underneath all of this. It's literally the funniest little gimmick that he has. But he recently got a mask, and I'm going to be hitting up the guy that designed his mask, because he's able to have a mask that has a movable jaw, and that's
Yes.
what I'm looking for. I want a mask kind of like Alex Terrible from Slaughter to Prevail.
Yes.
How he has a movable jaw. I'm looking for something like that. So if anybody out there knows a mask maker that can do a really solid movable jaw, let me know. Because I'm looking for one.
That's fair. Yeah. And I have to ask too, for the sake of lore, what was the reason for the clown theme?
So the clown theme is, I'm always big on clowns. I've always liked clowns. I know there's something about them that I like. Everybody thinks that they're funny and they're goofy and everything, but at the same time, they're also scared of them. And sometimes they can be a little sinister. I fuck with that.
That's fair.
I like the sinisterness that comes with the clowns. A lot of people are afraid of clowns. And so because of that, I wanted to give predators and rapists something to fear.
Okay.
So
I like that.
yeah, so that's why that's what that's where the clown symbol comes in. I wanted to give them something to fucking fear when they see a fucking clown, to know that, oh shit, this could be a predator hunter or something, whatever you want to call us.
And honestly, too, I love that you mentioned that, because back in high school, junior high, I was trying to do something very similar in the wake of like the clown epidemic that was happening around
Yeah.
Halloween time, I was trying to form something with my friends that would be called the Jesters. And it
Hmm.
was only slightly different because it would be basically clowns hunting after clowns. And
Yeah.
it like real weapons and shit. It's like, hey, you really want to stalk this kid? Come fucking around, come find
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
And we did that for a year or so, and it almost became a thing. But
Nice.
to a certain degree, I'm glad it didn't. Because we were just kids.
Right.
So it was like, high school level. We'd be riding around on our boards, and one of us would actually have just a giant sheathed knife, and we were just hunting for people in clown costumes. But it's
Yeah.
like every now and then, dude, that could easily be a predator as well.
Yep.
That could
Yep.
easily be a stalker that could get into something very, very bad. And
Yeah.
then people who don't have any protection, well, they get in a very unfortunate situation. It's like, imagine being on the phone with an officer and you're like, yo, there's a clown following me. It's like, stop
Yeah.
fucking around, click or
Yeah.
whatever, depending
Yeah.
on the district.
Right.
So I do appreciate that you're kind of manifesting that same thing I was dreaming and hoping to do a long time ago. You're just not going out and hunting them yourself. You're just giving
Not yet. Not
you're
yet.
not yet. You're giving billionaires and predators something to fear,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
I love
So
that.
so I mean, if I could find a distributor that will literally make custom clown masks, not just for me, but for my audience, so they could have one to rep, I think would be the sweetest freaking deal. Like for example, even if you guys want to turn those ones, which are literally you can find those at any party city.
Right.
Like,
All right. So continuing upon the story of this album, The Father, we're continuing to talk about birth, correct? And you're slowly
correct.
walking us through the stanzas.
Correct.
Cool. Continue, good sir.
All right. Let's see. Oops. I'm reading the lyrics as we're going through this. So if I'm looking down, don't think I'm not paying attention. It's
No, you're
me
fine.
reading the lyrics. All right. Then verse 5 goes on and says, I haven't got the slightest idea what the future oh wait, yeah, I haven't got the slightest idea what the future holds, what the future holds for me. But you can be damn sure I will figure it out. I will figure it all out. Um, so obviously, like I said, pretty self-explanatory. I'm still trying to figure out like what is going on. This is at this point, I'm already born. Maybe I'm a little older, like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, something along those lines. And I'm during all this time, I have these unanswered questions.
Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun.
Exactly.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Um, then verse 6 goes on and says, the journey starts with me. My birth is a great mystery, miscreation, abomination. The journey starts with me. My birth is a great mystery. Now it kind of repeats itself. Then the chorus kind of repeats earlier. My birth is answer, but why? But why? Chris with a heart murmur till this day. Medical team says I won't survive. That's literally how fast I freaking scream it too. There's no hope. Why do I feel so abandoned with no biological guardian?
Sick.
Yeah.
Alrighty. And
Yeah. Oh, sorry about that. No. Actually, is that the course or is this the course? My bad. And then it goes on, says, my purpose is to discover what the truth is, discover why I was put on this green earth. What is behind the truth? I can only imagine what lies behind what lies behind each door. So that was actually pretty interesting because growing up, I had asked questions because I'm trying to figure out basically where my birth mother is.
gotcha.
That's the more that's it's leading up to the next song, but this is like I said, this is all it's a big old story.
Yeah.
And essentially that is really it. Most of the stuff actually repeats because it's the toward the ending of the song. And that's just how I have the lyrics written out. But that in a nutshell is the birth.
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right. And I mean, that's already a whole bunch of context. And what I do appreciate wholeheartedly, is that you are willing to put the time into going stanza by stanza in these songs, because most of the time, for time's sake, or just because there's like so much to dig into, I've noticed that a lot of musicians aren't really willing to do that. But I
Yeah.
appreciate that you understand the disturbing depths of the music that you've written,
Yeah.
and therefore you have absolutely everything to say about each and every one of these songs.
Yeah.
And also your financial investment, I'm sure, into what is on average a 4 to 5 minute song.
Right.
And well, so many of those. Let's see. More specifically, that way I sound a little bit more intelligent. 11 tracks worth of 4 to 5 minutes. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm sure you have a lot to say. But
Oh, yeah.
track 3, we have the questions.
Right. So the questions is literally, it's self-explanatory. Most of this album really is. Hence the title. And you just, even just reading off the list as you see there in front of you, it's already telling a story just reading the titles.
That's fair, yeah.
Yeah. So so obviously the intro is like, where do I even begin? How do I even approach this with sensitivity? I literally asked the ultimate question. Sorry, my son is behind me making noise.
You're fine.
Then I asked, "Buddy, good job." So then I literally asked like the big, like the elephant in the room, basically.
Yeah.
Like, birth mother, where are you? Birth mother, where are you? I have so many questions. And then it goes on to the chorus. I demand to know the truth. What has happened to you? Who is he? Did he fucking hurt you? Is he what I feared? Is he what I've always hated? Literally the most chilling freaking lyrics. Even writing those and
Yeah.
even screaming them were literally a lot of this
Difficult.
out. Oh, absolutely. And there's one song in particular you say there on the list that we'll get to. And that one will be pretty difficult, but not difficult to say or read off of, because I've had so many years to do this.
Yeah.
And I've had interviews before asking about it, so I'm totally fine.
Good.
Yeah. And then verse 2, or no, verse 3 or something, I would believe it goes on, says, I have excuse me, I can't wrap my head around this, but I guess this is what I asked for: the truth to be exposed, to be ripped apart, to be unveiled. Then it goes on, connecting the dots to dots, connecting the pictures to pictures. So literally, I'm trying to figure out, just if you could literally just imagine for a brief second, think about like a kid has got a bunch of pictures, like if you were to watch like a criminal thriller or something, or where you're watching a detective connect the dots to dots. They got all the pictures and stuff on the wall, like something out of a movie. They
Yeah.
got pins. They got the string that links one to the other, etc. So literally, that is what's going on. Me connecting the dots to dots, trying to figure out what the hell is going on. So that's kind of you get that picture in mind for you.
Yeah.
And then I discover I get piece by piece, and you got to keep in mind, this is me asking my folks bit by bit, piece by piece, years as the years are going by, and they're just giving me little hints. They're not really telling me much. They're dancing around the topic. They don't want to talk about the elephant in the room,
Right.
because they're ultimately scared shitless because they don't know how I'm going to react, which I get that. I do.
Yeah. It's understandable. Like, in that moment when, I mean, that's really the burden of being an adult.
Yeah.
I've understood is that when you're younger, you want to learn about all these things. You want to know about all these things. But then when you get older, you finally learned about them. And whether it be because of the mindset, simply speaking, that there's not really anything beyond that, unless you become like a grandfather, great grandfather, great great grandfather.
Right.
Like, there's not much that you learn. There's not much of a dividend, if that makes sense, between like the age groups and whatnot. So it's either you're a kid and you thirst for knowledge, you hunger for knowledge, and then the adults are
Right.
usually like, well, with time you'll understand all these things. It takes time. Don't rush. And
Right.
then you finally
Right.
do, and you're like, fuck.
Exactly.
Simply
Yeah.
said.
um then it goes on, says, finally, one step closer. Fuck, I just don't understand where to even begin with this. I know the truth, like you literally just said. I know the truth. I know the truth will kill me in the end. Mother, why didn't you tell me? I have had to piece this out on my own. The world's most mysterious mystery.
Yeah.
Um, then I believe this is a chorus. It repeats itself, which is, I demand to know the truth. What happened to you? Who is he? Did he fucking hurt you? Is he what I always feared? Is he what I have always hated? Um, then verse 5 goes on and says, dead end after dead end. So basically, like, I'm getting nowhere because I'm not finding any answers. So deep down, that's tormenting me after torment, which is the next one. How much longer till I discover the truth? How much longer till I discover all the secrets? Then it goes on. My patience is wearing thin. Oh God, I need to know who is responsible for my birth, who is responsible for everything. And that's me right there. Literally, God is capitalized. That's me actually asking God, what's going on. Then I believe I have a bridge, and it's these questions, these never ending questions. These questions are never ending. So it's kind of like, picture me going kind of insane. Like there's all
Yeah.
these questions floating around everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know which goes with the other, etc.
Yeah. It just gets under your skin.
Exactly. It's just getting under my skin. It's tormenting me big time. Um, and then it goes out to the outro. Where do I even begin? Which is literally the intro. How do I even approach this? What's sensitivity? Birth mother, where are you? Birth mother, where are you? I have so many questions. And that, in the nutshell, is the questions.
Sweet. Moving right along on this very, very emotional, very dark, but authentic, raw record, we have the title track, The Father, which immediately the question I had the question while you were discussing the contents of the questions. Of course, question for the
Right.
questions. I was like, why didn't he name this album The Mother then? But I'm sure you'll get into that with The Father.
I will 100% be getting that into the father. So as you said, this is the father. This is me discovering the truth officially. And around this time, believe it or not, I had to be 13 years old. So I'm not even shitting you, not even a little bit. That when I was 13, I had so many questions. I After I had discovered the truth, that's when I wanted to really pick up guitar.
Right.
That's what literally pushed me and wanted to learn. My parents didn't want to, they danced around it for so many years, and finally they just said, let's get him a guitar.
Right.
16 years old, I get my first guitar, which we talked about earlier.
Right.
Um, but like I said, this is the father. So I was around 13 years old at the time, and this is me literally word for word figuring out the truth. So it starts off, are you serious? This can't be true. For years I have wondered who you are. Now I know. Now I fucking know. Um then verse 1, that's literally the intro. Verse 1 is literally, you're telling me that intoxicated filth I'm supposed to call my father. The title itself is a scorching understatement.
Okay.
Then it goes on, says, you are nothing to me but a groping, beating, scratching, violating parasite. So literally we're getting to the root basically of all evil, if you will. Um then it goes on to the pre-chorus. She was your own blood, but you are too consumed by everything I fucking hate. So what that means, just in a nutshell before I continue that last line. But you were consumed by everything I fucking hate. First and foremost, everything anybody's got to know about me. If you don't know about me much, no worries. I am straight edge.
Right.
So for me personally, I don't fuck with drugs. I don't fuck with alcohol. I don't do anything like I'm straight edge down to the fucking core.
Cool.
Um, And that's literally everything I fucking hate, because I've had so many friends, I've seen so many family torn apart because of alcohol and drugs, that I literally hate the substances. I mean, if you got a grip on it, you got a grip on it. Kudos to you. But I've also seen what happens when you don't have a grip on it.
Yeah. Ugh, jeez.
Yeah. So that's where that comes in. And then goes back to the chorus. For years I've wondered who you are. Now I know. Now I know. Now for years I've wondered what you are to me. Now I know. Now I fucking know.
Yeah.
Then cuts into the next verse. If you're still living, mark my words, that I will find you. If you're still living, you will see injustice prevail.
Damn.
Then we cut even deeper. Oh, trust me, with every lyric, it cuts deep.
Yeah.
Go on to the next part. Hence, Curbstomp the Predator. You rapist disease. I've heard about you. I've heard about people like you. You all deserve to a special place reserved by Lucifer himself.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm. Next one. Somehow I've always feared the truth. Somehow I've always feared what the truth would be. Somehow I've always known you would bring me pain. Goes into the next part. I promise you this, you will become the devil's favorite bitch. And I mean that wholeheartedly. She was your own blood. You were too consumed by everything I fucking hate. Then the chorus repeats itself. Let's see. Then we go into the outro, which is I will find you. I will find you before the setting sun. I will find you before my time is done. It's a little rhyme.
Right.
And that is the father.
Fuck yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely seems that with it being the title track, this whole album revolves around your realization and how you decide to act upon your realization early on in life. And if I'm understanding the context of the father correctly, like holy shit. I think I would want to start a band like this too, if I had that in the back of my mind. And what I will say is that with Blind Without Our Failures, I think one of the greatest failures of my life happened to me, my old man. And I don't try to be too cruel in saying that, because I think he did try for what it was worth. He did try to be there. He did try to be emotionally available.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, when you don't actually know how to be emotionally available and you try to cater towards your kids with materialistic purchases, and then you try to use that also to remedy your own shitty behavior that you constantly apologize for but never actually change, well, once your kids grow old enough, it becomes apparent to them that you'll never change, right?
Yep.
And that's exactly what happened. It was very unfortunate, and I wish he did change. I really do, because then I would still be talking to him. My immediate family and I would still be in contact with him, but he was so full of himself that he tried to provide my mom an ultimatum in choosing between him and his own children.
Right.
It's fucked.
Yeah.
Like that's not what a father's supposed to do.
Nope.
No matter how rebellious your kids are against you, yeah, sure. They might be close to an age to where they can go out on their own. But when the rebellion that you're seeking to snuff out is so irrelevant and it doesn't actually matter, and your own children are just trying to help you become a better person, but you refuse to let them in, well, everything you just mentioned is all upon you. It's all on you to change yourself or to go fuck yourself and disappear.
Yep.
And that's exactly what happened. So it's like, of course, I sympathize with everybody I've ever known who had a complicated parental situation, or perhaps they didn't even have parents in the first place, like yourself, right? Or at least your biological parents, you know, what happened, and they decided to leave the picture.
Right.
I do absolutely sympathize with that. But half the time, I really wish I never even knew my own father. And especially because I share his face. Like, I look exactly like my father. The only difference is I have a more luscious beard. I actually take care of my beard. Other than that,
I know it's
like,
beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I miss
mighty
I
and
miss mine.
confident, baby.
I miss mine. Trust me.
Grow yours back out, bro. It's
I
never too
can't,
late.
bro. Work won't let me. Yeah,
Oh,
bro.
that's a fucking fat rip off the bong of
That's
despair, bro.
that's. I actually I'm so tempted to leave work just because I want to grow it out, bro. But I'm just like, "Ugh."
Fair enough. Yeah, it
Yeah,
takes a long time. It takes a lot of patience. And I mean, I'm only 24.
yeah,
So, I mean, I'm a pretty ahead of the curve. I'll be looking like Duck Dynasty by the time I have kids. Um, and I absolutely love that, but it all
yeah.
takes time. And then on top of that, I will put myself on the spotlight when I say that me and him have the same hair pattern. I'm just doing a little bit better with mine
Right.
because I try to be more positive on a regular basis. And
There you
like, no
go.
matter what, I don't give up. And of course, when you really think about it, just speaking briefly upon hair science and cosmetology and all that, it's like the more stressed out you make yourself all the time, the more vulnerable you are to losing hair, right?
Yep.
So I'm trying not to stress out in what is one of the most stressful points of my life right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it shows. That's the thing that sucks, is it does already show. But I mean, that's where Keeps comes in, baby. That's where Keeps
Yeah.
comes in. And hopefully I can
Right.
get a sponsorship by them one day because I really need their products, but they're so fucking expensive. Like,
There you
suck.
go.
But as we're continuing, we're deep diving into this album, a very personal album to Josh here from Curbstomp the Predator, which I appreciate the time that you've provided us so far. That way we can tell your story. That way we can provide all, let's see, let's go ahead and check this real quick. That way, we can provide all 3,127 of your monthly listeners the insight that they need to
Yep.
understand what the Father is about.
Yep.
But as we continue, we have track 5, The Hatred. What's the hatred about?
So this song is literally me after figuring out who my father was. This is me directing, finally finding a place to direct all this hate to, all the anger, all the frustrations that I've had. I finally have somewhere to direct it to. And this is me directing to literally me directing it to him whatsoever.
Fantastic.
And yep. And so the intro to this goes, you're as good as dead. I'm not sorry for it coming to this. I'm taking my life back. It's time to welcome. It's time to welcome the world into my mind, the world into my mind. So finally the world is entering my mind, what I'm going through, what I've been dealing with. And this is me literally not holding anything back, no filter, all
No
holds
filter.
barred. Yeah, absolutely. Um, and one thing I've known about me is that hatred has basically almost been my greatest weapon, and that's literally the next lyrics. Hatred has always been my greatest weapon. Hatred has always had a special place within my heart. You don't get it. um and then it goes on to the chorus. You turned your back on your own, you fucking piece of shit. I hate everything you are. I can't handle it. I want to make you suffer for bringing me in this world.
Fair enough.
Literally cuts deep, literally right then and there. Like I said, this album just gets more personal and personal. The more you read it, like I said, especially for every listener that actually wants to take the time to read everything that we're going through, as they're listening to the song, they're going to be like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And it's going to cut even deeper. Um Hold on, sorry about that. I lost where I was.
No, you're fine.
Okay. Then the next verse after that is, I can't stand the very thought of everything he did to you. So that's me speaking to my mother now.
Okay.
Mother, it isn't you, it isn't just you. I can picture every victim, every soul in my head. From that moment on, after I learned the truth, I started picturing it. Wow, this didn't happen just to the woman that gave birth to me. This is happening everywhere.
Fuck. Yeah.
And again, a young age, like we're talking like 13, 14 years old. That's young as fuck for me to have that much realization so early on literally ignited the fire that you see today. That is Curbstomp the Predator.
Right. I love to see it.
Yeah. Then it goes on to the next verse. This drives me to the point of insanity on an ongoing war within me. Emotions flying rampant without any control. But I can tell you for sure, I hate him with everything I have. I hate him. I hate him. Eradicate the fucking swarm. So the swarm would be all these parasites, all these pedophiles, all these sexual abusers that we're having a problem with. And then it goes on and says, I damn them all to hell. So like I said, every bit of this cuts so freaking deep. The further we get into the storyline here. Then the chorus goes, you rapist scum. This will start with you. The world will hear my voice. They will hear yours too. They will riot and hate. They will laugh at your screams and will put a stop to you evil themes. So if you notice a little bit as well, even early on, I tend to do a little bit of rap, throwing a little bit of rap in there.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
That'll be refreshing to hear.
With some of the vocalists that with some of the lyrics that I write, I mean.
Yeah.
Especially with a lot of the newer shit that's coming out, you're going to be seeing a lot more of the rap / screaming side of things.
Sweet.
Yeah. So that's me kind of broadening out there a bit. Then it goes back to the intro as well. You're as good as dead. I'm not sorry for it coming to this. I'm taking my life back. It's time to welcome the world. It's time to welcome the world into my mind, the world into my mind. Then it repeats the whole beginning section, I believe. Oh, hold on. Wait a second. Okay. Sorry about that.
All good.
I lost my spot. Okay. Then we have the bridge. The bridge is going to be, I've been getting everything I shouldn't have had. Wait a minute. Oh, yeah. Okay. Here we go. I've been given everything that I shouldn't have had, adopted by a loving family. So I ask you this: what kind of father rapes his own daughter and lives to tell about it? The justice system in this world is fucked. I'm tired of hiding my emotions and keeping things to myself. You might have brought me in this earth, but I'm going to take you out myself. That is probably the head that I literally had probably the hardest time recording that entire section right there.
I would too.
There were definitely a lot of retakes. There were definitely a lot of, I start recording, I start singing, and it's just like I got all teary-eyed.
Yeah.
Got all emotional about it. And that's some of the behind the scenes. But this song in itself literally hits home with a lot of people, surprisingly.
Right.
I got tons of reactions to that spot. Fun fact, I don't believe it actually says it on the album. It should, though. I can always go back and put it in later. But if you know who Mystique is, she does like a lot of
Yes.
yeah, she does, like, she has a lot of those synths and stuff. She actually did a piano part for me on this song.
That's so cool.
Yeah, on this song at that part. So shout out to her. She's awesome. That was like that's when she was starting up and starting to become known.
Yeah.
Obviously she's a lot more well known now.
Yes.
Because again, we're talking about 5 years ago or so when this came out. But after that, it goes on to the next part. It goes, you rapist scum, this will start with you. The world will hear my voice. They will hear yours too. They will riot and hate. They will laugh at your schemes. We will put a stop to you evil fiends. And then gets to the outro. You're as good as dead. I'm not sorry for it coming to this. I'm taking my life back. It's time to welcome the world into my mind, the world into my mind. And that is the hatred.
Fantastic. With that in mind, we immediately like, of course, first, before we move on, I am very surprised to have my impression upon what this album means and the context of a lot of things for your own story. I was very surprised to have that corrected, and I even know a friend who went through a very similar thing.
Mm-hmm.
So to hear that it's been happening more and to have those types of stories come into my world, um it's very disheartening, but like it's all about perspective.
Oh
It's all
yeah.
about learning people's stories and understanding that these things do happen
Yep.
and that it's not just a figment of your imagination, that some of the worst of the worst of the worst can happen to certain people, like it does.
Yep.
And it's important to acknowledge that and see what you can do to help them out.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like I can't really do much, but even just providing what little platform I have and allowing you to like go as deep as possible into this stuff, um it definitely feels like that's some of the that is like the most I can do,
Yeah.
at this moment. But going into the future, definitely hope to contribute a lot more to Curbstomp the Predator.
Oh,
But track 6 we have The Therapist.
all right. So the therapist. I've never been about him. Ironically enough, I have literally, and that's what this one is about too. I have literally been through so many therapists as a kid. Um, Gone through and had so many therapy sessions, and not a single one of them freaking worked. They didn't do anything for me. They didn't do jack for me. Um, and so this is me basically yelling because after I figured out everything, they wanted me to see a therapist to kind of vent and decompress. And this is me literally going through that. And this is literally what I had to say to the therapist because they essentially couldn't fix me.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
song starts off as they said that I needed help. I beg to differ. They said I needed to calm down, to relax, to forgive and forget. And the next part is literally like, to even hear yourselves, is this the kind of bullshit you teach victims? Is this what would feed? Is this what? Wait, is this what you feed clients and families? Oh, is this what you feed clients and families? What if it happened to one of your kin? Would you be at ease or would you pacing the streets looking for retribution?
Yeah. Yeah. And
And
that's,
then,
I know I would be that way.
yeah. So then I'm yelling at the doctor, doctor, help me try to understand what I'm feeling so wrong. I want someone to tell me how I'm supposed to feel. Doctor, help me. Can you at least try to feel what I feel? See what I see? Do you even really care? Or are you just in this for the paycheck? Is it just what you call, is this what you call business, quote unquote? Um, you say you listen to everyone, but do you really care? Then he goes on. Why can't I sleep at nights? I unleash anger at random times. I've always got dark intentions on my mind for the predators and sexual abusers.
Yes.
Um, then it goes on deception. My father doesn't know I'm coming for him. Betrayer. He betrayed family. He betrayed blood. Then I'm yelling at my doctor again. Doctor, answer me. Is this what you feed clients and families? Is it what if it happened to one of your kin? Would you be at ease or would you pacing the streets looking for retribution? So I believe that is I believe there's something repeating right now.
Mm-hmm.
So then I'm done with the doctor and I'm just like, someone tell me how can men like him wander in freedom, free of punishment, free of consequence, free of the noose, and free of death? Put me in charge of this world and I'll show you punishment. I'll show you consequence. Put me in charge of this world.
Yeah. Good shit.
Yeah.
Because it too often we live in such a forgiving world. And I think that if it wasn't as forgiving, there would be so many less issues happening in the first place.
Oh,
And
yeah.
of course, like a lot of people, including the mindset I mentioned earlier, the mindset that I conjured earlier, that a lot of these people who do these things were victims themselves at one point. It's like,
Yeah.
well, if you're doing it after you've been a victim, like, how is that helping? That's
Right.
just continuing the cycle. If you decide to do that after you've been provided possibly the resources to correct that mindset, to understand that that's not okay,
Right.
and you're still doing it, how's that any better? How's that
Right.
any better than the last person? It's fucked.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so going off of that, it's like you can make the decision to either not forgive and scare the shit out of your local predator at the very
Right.
least,
Right.
intimidate them into never like unleashing those emotions.
Right.
And if they do, well, you hunt them down like the animals they are.
Yep.
If a lot more people were doing that, I feel the world would be a lot more safe.
Oh, 100%. Without any doubt. And you would be scaring after if the world did come together like that as brothers and sisters in arms, which is literally the lyric off of K.Y.L.R. off of This Is War. This is War.
Right.
Um, if we all came together, they wouldn't appear and pop up so often. They only do it, and I'm not trying to push down homeless people, but they only do it because nobody's doing anything about them. They keep coming back around. So if for example, you give a homeless person food, you give him some sort of help, he's going to keep coming back because you did that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's no way to look around that. That's just
Yeah.
the truth.
Yeah. But to go back,
Mhm.
after I've said all of that, I go on to say, is this starting to jog your mind? Can you finally see what I see? So can you help me? Or are you talking with a mouthful of shit? So I'm literally calling as I sees it from
Yeah.
the doctor. Then again, uh, I recite again, doctor, help me try to understand. Is what I'm doing so wrong? Is there I want someone to tell me how I'm supposed to feel. Doctor, help me. Can you at least try to feel what I feel to see what I see? Do you even really care? That is the hatred.
Wait.
I'm sorry, the therapist.
Right. Right. Okay. Track 7, we have The Plot.
All right. The plot. Oh, this song cuts deep for a lot of people. A lot of my OG listeners, this song caught really deep. So this is from this moment on is what would happen, and this is what I would envision in my story if I ever found out where my father was and pretty much what I would do to him word for word, piece by piece. Like each song from here on out gets super personal, super in depth. Um, and that's basically what what it leads up to. So the plot starts off with saying I received an anonymous tip about my father, the dead man walking, quickly planning, quickly scheming without a moment to lose. Prepare the equalizer, prepare the plans, prepare for revenge. This song actually is heavily Thy Art is Murder influence, I will say. Even the instrumentals do reflect it a bit. But there's elements that I've incorporated into the song. So it's not so it doesn't feel like it's a Thy Art is Murder song. Like it feels like it's a Curbstomp the Predator song. Because I incorporated different elements. But I mean, at least for the intro and the outro, I'll say it gives it kind of that Thy Art is Murder hate album vibe. Oh, I think you think.
um my question immediately too, before you get started, was: is there a specific album or era from Thy Art Is Murder that you got inspiration for the song off of?
Oh yeah, it was definitely the Thy Art Is Murder's album Hate.
Mm,
That one, just the second that album came out, I could not stop listening that song for weeks and months, from back to back to back to back. Just the way that they wrote it, just the way that the mixing and mastering turned out, and
yeah,
just with every song flows so well. In my personal opinion, that is by far still to this day their top album, their number one album, in my opinion,
fair enough.
is that album. I
Sweet,
I just think they just everything they did everything they could have done to make that album pop, and it did.
badass.
Yeah. Let's see. Oops. And then did you want me to continue on?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay. We're getting through it. We're getting through
We're
it.
getting through it.
Yeah. Um, all right. And then it goes on and says, at long last, the predator becomes the prey. I can hardly contain myself. I can't wait to unleash hell. Then it goes on to say as well, the beast is closing in. I will tear you limb from limb. The prey, unaware of the devastation that awaits my arrival, I will devour flesh. I will consume bone. I've come too far to let this opportunity slide by, right through my grasp, right through my clutches. So again, we're just talking about me just preparing everything for this moment, like for the actual.
All right.
Sorry.
You're good. So we're back, part 5, I think now, which is
Oh my
fucking
goodness.
insane. So that means this
Yeah,
session is at least going to be 2 hours, but
that's
I'm
fine.
okay with that.
Yeah,
Honestly,
yeah.
everybody on the road who happens to be a trucker, you will have more than enough to listen to. And we've just been talking and talking and talking. But if I remember correctly, what we are last touching about is the lore behind the clown masks. And we were preparing to go ahead and dive into This Is War, and also kind of piecing together and alluding to material after This Is War. But take it away,
Yes.
sir.
Yes, sir. Just a quick review of like you said, what we were talking about with the mask. Basically, that was introduced during either the writing, I want to say it was introduced during the writing process. So what I would do is, as I was writing the album, I would upload little snippets. That mask became a part of it. And people were like, "Oh shit! Like what's with the clown mask?" And I'm like, "Oh, you guys will see. You guys will see." So essentially, when I'm telling the story and all that crap, all the blood and the torture and the gnarly shit is happening, I'm wearing the clown mask. So that is what's happening. That's my alter ego. That's literally the mess I put on myself. Um, as that is going on. Um, but yes, but that's enough about that. Like I said, for those masks, if you want, if we're gonna create a symbol or something, those masks are literally available at any party city. That's super easy. And
Curbstomp
then
the predator, people, not a joking manner.
not a joking manner whatsoever. I'm not a gimmick band like I'll say IA is. um,
True.
let's see. All right. So This Is War. The first track off of This Is War. Well, actually, before I even get into that, if I may, um, this is so actually, yeah. Let me back up a little bit. So,
Reverse.
yeah. So, reverse just a little bit. Um, so we went as Sean said here. We went through the father, um, and it ends on the death. At the tail end of the death, there is actually a quote, a movie quote that ends. That's the basically end all be all of the Father album. But it also gives a little hint of what's to come. So I'm a huge Punisher fan.
Ooh,
I'm a huge Punisher Marvel fan. Absolutely love him, and that's basically where I get the grip and the gist of fighting for justice, fighting for the innocent, pushing on. I love that movie, the original Punisher, plus not to mention I think Punisher Warzone as well. Um, Huge Punisher fan. Because he's willing to do, he's willing, he's just like I'm very similar to him in my train of thought. We're willing to go above and beyond what is necessary for us to do to protect those who we love. So with that being said, if you remember the first Punisher movie, at the end of the first Punisher movie, he says a quote that where he's basically saying, rapists, murderers, psychos, sadists, they'll come to know me well. They can call me the Punisher. Basically, as me in this instance, that is me. And that's where I'm leaping off with my trail. Driving off after doing my evil things that
right.
I've done. Um, but basically it's just a symbol that this isn't over.
Yeah.
Like there's a bigger this is just the beginning. What happened here is literally just the beginning of what's about to happen. And when this is war and when we get to this is war, and this is literally a call to arms. This is the uprising. This is just the beginning of not hitting my new album, but hitting my new album, The New World Order.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So, um, so that's what This Is War is. It's very similar to. It starts off very similar to the way The Father did. It's got a quote at the very beginning. It's got like a little clip. And do you want me to go do the same thing we did with The Father
Sure.
into this? Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So first and foremost, it starts off. This is Unfinished Business, track 1 of This Is War. It goes off saying, "I've come back to eradicate. To retaliate, eradicate, and desecrate. Same shit, different day. Disgusting, lustful leeches will burn." So right then and there, what we're talking about. You know what
Yeah.
it's about. So, and this isn't this album is not sugarcoating anything whatsoever. It's a whole new ball game, whole new no holds bars attitude. This
Yeah.
is going to be in your face, heavy as fuck, but also very personal.
Yes.
Um Starts off saying, like I said, super, super, super arrogant. Right off the bat? You fucking pussies hide in the shadow. We'll hunt you down and send you straight to the gallows. I'm not just one man. I've got an army behind me. We hate you, spineless fucks. You ought to see what we see. You've given us a good goddamn reason to kill. You threaten our families. Now watch your bloodshed spill. That is literally the very first thing that you hear right off the bat, with listening to the very first song here. Then I go on saying, "Now watch it spill." I repeat that a few times. Now watch it spill. Now watch it spill. Now watch it spill. Now watch it fucking spill. Um, I won't rest. We won't rest until it fucking spills. I have one proclamation, and this is me letting the world know that I mean fucking business, and this is how it should be. I have one proclamation: death penalty for a for this for a new world order for this new world order. I'm sorry. Death penalty for every rapist and pedophile. Kill them all, kill them all, kill them all. I will never stop saying, oh, I will never stop. I think it's supposed to be singing it. I will never stop. I'll never stop singing. I will never stop screaming. I will never stop running my mouth. I will never shut up. Kill them all. Kill them all. I've said it before. I'll say again, death penalty. And that, in a nutshell, is Unfinished Business. It's a lot shorter because it's straight to the point, and this is a call out.
Right.
But I came back and I wanted to come back with absolute
Ruthlessness.
absolutely absolute ruthlessness and vengeance. I wanted to come back with a bang and let them know this is it. This is where we're at. This is where we're gonna go.
Right. And therefore, with track two, which happens to also be the last track on this little appetizer EP until further notice, I noticed that for your first collaboration ever, well,
Mhm.
the band that's featured on your hat, good sir,
Yes,
Face
sir.
Yourself, you decided to go ahead and collab with them.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
on a level, on a note, kind of separate from Curbstomp the Predator, right? Face Yourself has been making a lot of big moves
Oh yeah.
in
Oh yeah.
in our scene. And
Oh
I
yeah.
know that this next year they will be making their first mark. Hell, I'm really, really hoping to a certain degree, being that I have the positive bias that I do. I know a lot of bands on the label as well. I'm hoping that if they do plan to jump on a record label, that they end up jumping onto Unique Leader Records, because I think that might be the next step for them. But
Yeah.
that's just me.
Yeah.
They're like Ginger but heavier to me.
Oh,
Yes,
100%. Yeah.
Yasmin
And
is
Spirit Spots.
such
Yeah.
a killer
Oh,
vocalist.
oh yeah. It's like literally, I think the first music video that came out from them, it was earlier during the year. I forget what the name of it was though. But the first time I heard her vocals, I knew right then and there, I'm like, holy shit, I gotta get this girl like on a track. Like if I do come back to music, I gotta get this girl on a track.
Right.
Um, and my microphone's being dumb.
No, you're good. I can still hear you.
Okay. Um,
So,
and
yeah, with that in mind, like what was the reason? What was there any specific reason you were like, yo, this has to be the first collab I do? Like, was it just like because of her vocal prowess? Was it because you thought that Yasmin would fit really well with the lyrical contents?
I
Like,
did.
okay.
I thought that she would fit really well with the lyrical contents, and I thought who better to join in on this journey of being an advocate than a female fronted vocalist.
Right.
I thought that way other women can know that hey, they're not they're they're not
The
alone. Like
opportunity is there.
yeah, the opportunity is there, and she literally did a terrific job. She held nothing back. I actually, fun fact, gave her an enormous section in this song.
Okay.
There were guest spots in, and another fun fact, I had her write her own lyrics because I wanted to cut deep. I wanted to be personal. I wanted to get it from a woman's perspective. And so all those lyrics that she's doing on her part are the lyrics she wrote.
Right. Gotcha. Oh, that's right. I totally forgot. My roommate is willing to make you a cake, bro.
What?
What? Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Rumi.
He said thank you, Rumi. So I think he's interested, but I do appreciate it.
Let me know if it's enough lemon, okay?
Okay, we'll do.
Oh, sure.
Family friend.
Okay.
Family friend.
Gotcha.
And she's already married,
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Still. Oh.
Yeah. No, I've had a really good support group recently, but
Love
you were
that.
saying, sir.
Yeah. But yeah, I wanted to give her that chance to shine. That's basically what it was. Is I wanted to give her a spot to shine, and I did, and she did not disappoint. It was fun working with her. We messaged back and forth a ton on what fit. And she wanted to know if there was anything else that she needed to add, and I said, to be honest, everything sounds great. Um, I'm all about like, I guess, first impressions. But I'm not that picky either. Like if you absolutely nail it off the bat, I'm probably going to go with your first take. Like I'm not like if the first take sounds great, there's literally no reason to do it
Yeah.
again. So she did. She smashed it the first time, and I absolutely loved and enjoy working with her. And I'm literally so proud and so stoked to see like how far her band have come.
They've exploded within the year. It's
They've
fucking incredible.
Yeah, and I was gonna say I enjoy watching how they did it. And it taught me one thing, that music videos literally speak higher volume. So with that being said, I'm thinking that this next single is probably going to be another music video that I'm working on. and yeah, hopefully that goes smoothly. And it's kind of as a solo artist, um it's a lot of funds that comes into it, you know.
Right.
Make doing making things happen. But I actually did, I fun fact as well, I actually do all the video work, I actually do all the editing, I actually do everything that you see thus far has literally been me.
That's cool.
Even the merch designs, I done all those myself as well. I'm actually waiting on a brand new logo to come through, as well as abbreviations abbreviation logo for hats and beanies
Right.
to
Right. A
come
little
through.
emblem.
Yeah, like a little emblem that come through. And let me tell you guys, once my artist is my that artist is finished, he actually is the same one that designed the This Is War album artwork.
Oh shit. Okay.
Max, yeah, Mr. Max. Yeah. So make sure you show him some love if you guys have not yet. And let him know I sent you over.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
yeah, but he actually unintentionally did something with the abbreviations that I'm like, yo, this looks like this. What if you made it this,
Yeah.
but you kept the abbreviations in there? And he said, oh, that would be a sick idea. So just just be on the lookout when you see it. When
Yeah.
you see it, you'll have to let me know what you guys see, because I don't want to spoil it too much, but it's I fucking love it. Like I've never seen a sicker abbreviation design, I don't think, ever.
Great. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, I look forward to that without a doubt. And I think
yeah.
most importantly, I think that newer clown mask that you have is going to be a very, very big part
Oh yeah,
of the imagery
oh yeah,
in all of your future endeavors. I think that
oh yeah,
specific style of the clown
yeah,
mask, and I
yeah.
don't even know. The only thing I can think of is maybe like the mouth makeup per se. That being a logo. Yeah, like imagine if they're red. That's like the only thing I would change or try to figure out is making the logo the red. The curb stomp the
Oh, that would be
predator,
sweet.
make
Yeah,
that into the mouthpiece per se, and it's like literally you're speaking that. You are the voice for curb stomping predators.
since that's a sick
Not only
idea.
that, but I would easily call that mask Curby, as in like Curby, like I'm Kirby the clown, motherfucker, here to curb stomp the predator.
Hell yeah,
But yeah, this has been a really fun session. And with that,
yeah.
we have now gone under the skin of both The Father, the debut 11-track full-length record independently distributed for Curbstomp the Predator. And then we looked a little bit into This Is War, the 2-song Appetizer, also independently distributed. Now, as we get to our final moments here tonight on the Anatomy Crosscast episode 64, is there anything else you were wanting to allude to, discuss, or just talk about in general before we wrap up session?
Uh, I think we basically covered it. I enjoyed this so very much because this literally allows people to see a different side of me that they didn't know. I think this I would hope that this proves that how much of an advocate I am for the innocent, for victims everywhere, and let them know, first and foremost, you guys have a freaking voice. Use it,
Yeah,
please.
use
I
it.
beg you, I urge you to literally use it. And if you don't want to just let anybody know, if you want to DM me, my DMs will always be open for you guys, regardless of whatever. No matter what I'm doing, I will put my time aside for those people. I always have, I always do. But that being said, I do have merch on the way. My hoodies are ordered. I'm super stoked for you guys to get those. And I'm going to be getting the merch in bit by bit. I can't exactly order it all at once because it's a lot of money. As you see, I have three.
Yeah.
I have three little ones here that I got to worry about. But I would like to put up the store maybe after I get the logo and slap the new design on some hats or beanies. Um, just know it's going to be just try to have a little bit of patience. I would like to get at least something up before Christmas so you guys can have something around the holidays. Well, we're in the holidays, but you get what I mean.
Yeah. When we're at the peak of the holidays, right on Christmas Eve, just like, hey, order something.
Yeah.
Order some. You know,
Oh,
you want to.
Yeah, you got all your Christmas money. That's up.
Go ahead and pick up some Kirby stand merch, bro.
Curby
Come on.
stand. That's a great idea. I'm gonna have to really hit up this other designer I've been looking at and see if he can do something.
I think that would definitely stand out, like,
Yeah.
especially if it's a horizontal logo.
Yeah.
Just, you know, instead of Curbstomp the Predator, it'd be Curbstomp the Predator. And
Yeah.
the would be, you know, the mouth. It would be
Yeah.
the mouthpiece. And then
Yeah.
I think that in red and with like enough curls and twirls and stuff, it would almost look like I don't
Like a-
even know. It would just
like a
look so artistic.
like almost like a deathcore or death metal logo. Like with
Deathcore,
all the
Deathcore mouth paint. There you go.
yeah, yeah.
Boom, bada,
Oh,
bang.
yeah.
We're making history here today.
Right. We're making history, right?
But with that being said, this has been the Anatomy Crosscast episode 64, featuring Josh of Curbstomp the Predator, Curby the Clown himself. And just like the great Eternal Music Machine people, let's keep cranking, and we'll see you guys later.